Don't kill me, please. The young lover closed his eyes tightly, did not dare to raise his head, and cried for mercy.
Roll.
Xia Tao shouted coldly, but her lover didn't react and was still crying. If you don't get out of here, I'll kill you. Xia Tao's voice was more aggressive. She was crying at her mother's grave. It was so annoying. The young lover finally reacted. She was so scared that she forgot to put on her clothes and stumbled out. She ran very fast because she was afraid that if she ran a step slower, those people would change their minds and she would die. She ran downstairs. Several clothes were thrown out of the window and landed on her head. They were all her clothes. The young lover was stunned for a few seconds, looked up at the window, and began to put on her clothes. This time she was not panicked because she knew these people would not kill her. He's stupid and slow, and his acting is so bad. No wonder he can't be popular. Xia Tao looked at the window for a while and gave her lover a bad review. It doesn't matter if it's popular, it's still the dish on their table. Wan Qiqi said sarcastically that many popular stars in Hong Kong in the 1970s and 1980s were still unable to resist the gangs and were allowed to do whatever they wanted. If I were the Minister of Education, I would stipulate that women must learn martial arts from the age of 3. Let's see who dares to treat women as dishes. Xia Tao snorted coldly. They were all kung fu masters. Men were just dishes on women's tables. They could be fried, boiled, stewed, steamed, or deep-fried. They could be eaten however women wanted. Come on, young man. Wan Qiqi patted her on the shoulder to encourage her. Xia Tao's eyes lit up. She had just said those words in anger, but after being encouraged by Wan Qiqi, she was moved. Our ancestors always said that heroes come from all walks of life, and kings, princes, generals, and ministers are all of different species. Why can't she be the Minister of Education? After returning, she would find out what the procedures for becoming the Minister of Education were. If it didn't require much brain power, she would go and give it a try. Lu Yi and Xia Tao took Qin Xiong and his men to the secret kiln. Wan Qiqi stayed behind to open the safe, which contained a lot of cash, as well as famous watches and jewelry. She took them all without hesitation. In the basement, which was also brought into her space. In addition, there were several bags of flour, which she also collected. Wan Qiqi planned to sell these to the United States. The bullets from the Opium War were still flying, so he had to return them all. Not only can she get revenge, but she can also make money. Only a genius like her can come up with such a brilliant idea. In the villa are all new and high-end, and she did not miss any of them. Originally magnificent villa was almost turned back to its factory state after Wan Qiqi's sweep. Even the crystal chandelier on the ceiling was removed by her. Wan Qiqi was in a good mood because of her fruitful harvest, so she planned to give Qin Xiong and the others the best medicine, each pill costing several yuan. What's next? Xia Tao was getting impatient waiting, as she still hadn't gotten to see the show. Why are you in such a hurry? You guys light the room, and I'll take the photos. Wan Qiqi assigned them a task and prepared to shoot a wonderful and ferocious animal world movie. There is no such heavy taste in Hong Kong now, so her movie will definitely be a hit. Xia Tao's eyes lit up. She liked this drama. Qin Xiong and the others woke up, and when they saw those familiar props, their scalps went numb. The E-Gang also has a film company and has shot many action movies. The actresses were forced by them, and sometimes their gang brothers would go to satisfy their acting cravings. I'm Qin Xiong from the E-Gang. Which side are you from? After all, Qin Xiong was the boss, so he quickly calmed down and wanted to find out where they came from. Until now, he thought that Wan Qiqi and the others were other forces coming to seize territory. Wan Qiqi ignored him and gestured to Lu Yi to take off their clothes. The nightclubs and casinos on South Street are for you. Qin Xiong reluctantly offered the benefits, but Wan Qiqi remained indifferent. Lu Yi did not stop, and his clothes were peeled off one by one. This scene feels familiar because they used to humiliate women in this way. Add another nightclub, talk to your boss, and we can discuss everything. Qin Xiong added more chips, thinking that as long as the Green Mountains remain, there will be no shortage of firewood, and he can take it back later. Let's discuss this with you, Ma.
Come on.
Lu Yi pulled hard, and Qin Xiong turned into a bald pig, his whole body cold. The same was true for everyone else. The boss and his subordinates had never been so frank with each other before. Wan Qiqi took out a large bottle of medicine and fed each person 3 pills, which was the biggest cost investment in the scene. Scream, scream as hard as you can. Didn't you scream very loudly just now? Are you not going to scream anymore? Wan Qiqi was very dissatisfied with their performance, which had no passion at all, so she went out and came back with a bag of snakes. Each snake was more than 1 meter long, plump and very cute. With the addition of extras, Qin Xiong and his team acted particularly hard. Together with the original thugs in the dark kiln, there were 12 people in total, and the scene was full of passion and excitement. Xia Tao watched with great interest, gave the show a 10 out of 10, and even offered a valuable suggestion. How about I go catch a few male dogs? Let's see how this episode goes first. If it makes money, we'll shoot a second season and give the dog more scenes. Wan Qiqi agreed, but wanted to wait for market feedback as she didn't want to do business at a loss. If the second season still makes money, give the donkey, horse, and cow more scenes and add more actors. When it comes to dealing with men, Xia Tao has always had a big picture, bigger than the Pacific Ocean. You find the actors. Wan Qiqi didn't care. She wasn't worried whether Qin Xiong and the others could handle it. After all, if they died, they died. There was no need to pay compensation. Leave it to me. Xia Tao readily agreed, and even planned to go to the mountain to catch a wild boar to participate in the performance. She couldn't favor one over the other. Cows, horses, donkeys, and dogs all had roles, and the wild boar would be sad if it wasn't given a role. On the ground in a mess, were trembling with fear and feeling even more pain in their bodies after hearing these vicious words. They are already evil people who kill without blinking an eye, and these 2 women are even more evil than them. They are not human beings at all. I still have 10 kilograms of flour. I'll give it all to you. Please, let us go. Qin Xiong begged humbly. His lower body had lost all feeling, but he still refused to admit defeat. As long as he could survive, he would be able to get back what he had given away. Snap! A bone whip came at him, and Qin Xiong groaned in pain. His already tattered body was now even worse, and now his upper body was almost broken. Why didn't you confess before? You even dared to hide 10 kilograms of flour. Do you want to let the male dog add to the drama now? Wan Qiqi whipped Qin Xiong a few more times, not caring about his miserable injuries. If he died, he died. There were still 11 people left. If there are not enough actors, just look for more. Although Hong Kong is only as big as a butt, there are many bad people.
No.
I'll tell you everything. Qin Xiong didn't even have the strength to cry out in pain. His wounds were still bleeding, and his strength was gradually draining away. He now needed hemostatic and anti-inflammatory drugs, otherwise he would die. Had been the boss for several years, had gotten used to a good life. The fighting spirit he had in the past, which was daring enough to chop and kill, had gradually disappeared in the good days when he had plenty of fish and meat to eat. He was now more afraid of death than anyone else, so he dared not hide anything anymore and confessed everything. In addition to 10 kilograms of flour, there were also some weapons, gold bars, and cash. After completing the task, Qin Xiong was rewarded with hemostatic medicine. The others were also given medicine, some water, and food, and then locked up again. It's quite interesting to see these people make films. If the film they just made is a hit, they will definitely have to let the original crew shoot the second season, at least to let them live long enough to get market feedback. Qin Xiong didn't expect that even after he confessed everything, they still refused to let him go.
Who are these people?
We returned to the hotel. Zizi and the others were all sleeping soundly, and Wan Qiqi was also ready to take a shower and go to bed. Lu Yi was brushing his teeth halfway when he suddenly remembered that he hadn't done something important, so he just washed his teeth casually and was about to go out. I haven't made trouble at Qin Xiong's place today. I'll go clock in and be back soon. Qiqi, you go to sleep first. Lu Yi changed his clothes and went out in a hurry. Xia Tao, who couldn't sleep next door, also went out after hearing the noise. She loved to stir up trouble. That night, a busy nightclub in the city was smashed for unknown reasons. The guests fled in fear and several nightclub staff members were injured. I'm going to make this clear today. As long as you're the worst nightclub is open for one day, I'm going to smash it up. Just wait and see if you don't believe me. Lu Yi made a ruthless statement. Then he jumped a few times, flew up and kicked the glittering nightclub sign. Bang! The gorgeous sign fell heavily to the ground, breaking into pieces. This is what happens when you don't obey. Lu Yi's tone was particularly arrogant, and his eyes were contemptuous, as if he was looking at a group of ants, and it would be effortless for him to crush an ant to death. Xia Tao was just a step slow, and this great opportunity to show off was snatched away by Lu Yi. She was so angry that she stomped hard, and the light box, which was already broken into pieces, was finally shattered into pieces. But she was still not satisfied, so she set her eyes on the door of the nightclub, took a few running steps, and kicked it, causing the door to fall to the ground with a loud bang. This is what happens when you don't obey. Xia Tao said these harsh words in a haughty manner, but when she saw the look of disbelief on the faces of the people in the nightclub, she finally felt balanced and left with a proud look on her face. The person in charge of the nightclub was a big man with tattoos. After Lu Yi and the others left, the big man with tattoos immediately called the boss. Brother Gon, someone came to destroy the place. They smashed the door and the sign. They also said that they would come to destroy it once every day when the nightclub is open. They are a pair of jerks. They are so darn arrogant. Have the brothers in the gang been fighting for territory again recently? The voice on the other end of the phone was very rough, and it was also a big man with tattoos. Absolutely not. You said you wanted to stop for a while. We are all in charge of the brothers below, and they won't do anything rash. That's good. I'll go check out the background of that couple. You haven't had a rest for a long time, so take a good rest for a few days. The boss doesn't let his men act rashly. Even if they are in a gang, they can't rely on brute force to fight and kill. They have to use their brains and earn the biggest return with the smallest investment. The adulterous couple they were talking about had already returned to the hotel. Wan Qiqi had already fallen asleep. Lu Yi tiptoed to wash up, kissed the baby first, then went to bed and hugged his wife, and soon fell asleep. Wan Qiqi slept until dawn. She was too lazy to get up and just dozed off. Lu Yi also woke up. Both of them were too lazy to get up and just chatted intermittently. Where did you smash last night? The nightclub on South Street was smashed to pieces. Here you go. Wan Qiqi praised him, then felt a little drowsy again and prepared to take a nap. There was a knock on the door. Mrs. Wan, I am Gon Defa. The man's voice was rough. He was quite polite and spoke in a gentle and refined manner. Which one is Gon Defa? Wan Qiqi was a little confused. The name sounded strange. He's the boss of another gang, which is a little smaller than the Yi gang, but it's also considered a big gang in Hong Kong.
Lu Yi explained.
He has been moving around the city these days and has learned a lot about the situation here. Mrs. Wan, excuse me, I have something urgent to tell you. Please open the door. Gon Defa at the door raised his voice, as if he would shout until the door was opened. Manzai went to open the door. Mr. Wan. Mr. Wan, good morning. Gon Defa saw Manzai's appearance. He immediately changed his words. He was big and strong, even rougher than the wilderness, but he spoke in a refined manner and wore a suit and tie. It was just that his face was too fierce, and he didn't look like a serious person even in a suit. Manzai invited him into the house to sit down and made him some tea. Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi both got up, washed up, and went to see Gon Defa. Hello, Mrs. Wan, I am Gon Defa. Gon Defa was very polite and stood up to introduce himself. What's your surname? Is it the Gon that your uncle ducked? Wan Qiqi blurted out that this surname immediately reminded her of Comrade Xiao Chao. If you count back 100 years, they must be one family, right? There will be another update later. I went out to play today and came back late. You can read this update tomorrow while I write it. Gonda was stunned for a moment, and a murderous look suddenly appeared on his fierce face, but it quickly dissipated and turned into his previous appearance. Although he was still fierce, he no longer had the murderous look. Lu Yi quietly put down his hand, and in his other hand he held a cup of malted milk, which he was making for his beloved wife. It's not your uncle's job, it's the job of water and gold. Gondefa slowly explained his last name and smiled slightly, but when he smiled, his face was full of murderous intent. He should know this, so he manages his facial expressions pretty well. Whether he's in a daze or smiling, it only lasts for 3 seconds before his face becomes expressionless. Because this is the kindest expression he looks like. 3 drops of water plus gold? Ruan Chichi asked back. It was the first time she heard of this surname. Yes, this surname is the descendant of the Xiongnu Chanyu. Madam Ruan, have you heard of the Xiongnu? That great nation that established the horse empire is my ancestor. Gondefa's tone and expression were particularly proud, and he was very proud of his last name. I know. The one who was beaten to a pulp by Emperor Wu of Han and had to flee in all directions. Ruan Chichi answered the question very quickly. She knew this history very well because she had learned a lot about Huizubing, the young general who was more brilliant than fireworks. She even fantasized about traveling back in time with the magic medicine to save Huizubing. Gondefa's face froze for a moment, and he said weakly, winning and losing in a war is normal, and there is no running around. Do you know Hungary in Europe? We have the same ancestor. Ruan Chichi explained to him very seriously that after the Xiongnu's disastrous defeat, a part of them surrendered to the Han dynasty and later evolved into the Mongols, while the other part fled west to Europe and established Hungary. This has been confirmed by historical research. Real? Gondefa was skeptical. How could he be related to Hungary? Of course it's true. What are you doing here so early in the morning? Lu Yi became impatient and disturbed him and Chi-Chi's sleep early in the morning. After entering the room, he said a lot of nonsense. Who cares who your ancestor is? His ancestor is still Huangdi. Is he proud? Here's what happened. Last night you guys smashed my nightclub and threatened not to let my people open the shop for business. You'll smash it every day we open it. The new signboard door of the shop was also smashed to pieces. It can't be repaired. I spent 10,000 yuan to make it. Gonda's fierce face turned into one of grievance. He glanced at Lu Yi and asked in a low voice, I just want to ask if my brothers are blind and have offended you too. If so, I will apologize to you on behalf of my brothers. He learned that the place had been smashed last night. He investigated overnight and soon found Ruan Chichi. Ever since Wu Yuanji died, Ruan Chichi announced to the public that she had found her husband. Lu Yi came out from the dark and all the wealthy ladies who came to have their fortunes told had seen him and praised them for being a perfect match made in heaven. Therefore, Gondefa found out without much effort, but he thought that the woman who messed up the place last night was Ruan Chichi. Lu Yi and Ruan Chichi looked at each other, and a question mark appeared in their minds at the same time. Wrong place? Is your nightclub on South Street? Ruan Chichi asked. Gondefa nodded. It was the one on South Street, the most prosperous nightclub in their gang. This couple really knew how to choose a place. Are you in the same group as Chen Xiong? Lu Ye's eyes flashed with murderous intent again. They were indeed birds of a feather. They deserved to be killed. Of course not. Chen Xiong and I are sworn enemies. Gondefa raised his fist and made his position clear with gritted teeth. Chen Xiong forced women of good families into prostitution and sold flour, which was his most shameful behavior. How could he be in the same group with such people who had no moral principles? This was a blatant insult to him. Then why did you open a nightclub with Chen Xiong? You two are in the same gang. Lu Yi didn't believe it and insisted that they were in the same group. My nightclub is located across from Chen Xiong's, just to steal his business. Everyone in Hong Kong knows that Chen Xiong and I don't get along. I didn't lie to you. Gondefa also sensed something was wrong. He thought of a possibility and asked weakly, Did you hit the wrong thing? We were originally going to smash up Chen Xiong's place, but ended up smashing up his house? Lu Ye's expression froze. He seemed calm, but in fact he was panicking. He thought carefully which nightclub was smashed last night. After thinking for a long time and still not being able to come up with anything, he simply jumped out of the window and shouted from the balcony next door, Hurry up and get over here. He knew that the Japanese were unreliable. Last night, It was Xia Tao who entered the door first, and he followed behind. This crazy woman made the first move, and then he made the move. All the mistakes were this crazy woman's fault. Get lost, did I give you face? Xia Tao, with disheveled hair, climbed in through the window cursing. She was wearing a white nightgown, and her jet black hair was like a waterfall, covering her entire face. She climbed through the window on all fours and crawled in a creepy manner. With Sadako crawling out of the TV frame is not exactly the same, but there is almost no difference. You guys still have little ghosts? Gon Defa was so frightened that his voice began to tremble. She is a human being. Touch her, and she is hot. Wan Qiqi kindly pulled Xia Tao over and let Gon Defa touch her hand. She felt bad for having disrupted the wrong place, and if she scared someone again, she would blame herself even more.
Ice. Ice.
Gon Defa touched it and found it was colder than a refrigerator. He was so scared that he shrank back like lightning, and his strong body moved back aggrievedly. He was most afraid of ghosts.
Duck.
Xia Tao was so angry that she started to curse. This was a new swear word she had learned. It was concise, clear, and majestic, better than baka.
Why?
Gon Defa felt even more aggrieved. He was not even called by his name. This ghost was too fierce. You smashed someone else's nightclub last night. The door costs 10,000 yuan. You have to pay for it. Lu Yi was being cunning and didn't mention the light sign. Xia Tao was confused for a moment. Did she hit the wrong thing? She reviewed last night and vaguely remembered that there seemed to be a nightclub across the street, with a few seductive women standing at the door soliciting business. I'll pay. Xia Tao dared to admit her mistakes and pay compensation if she was wrong. She did not suspect Lu Yi of cheating. It was only 10,000 yuan. She had made a lot of money from touching corpses recently, so it was a small amount. 5,000 for the main gate, 5,000 for the signboard, 10,000 in total. Gon Defa quickly explained that he did not want to suffer any loss, nor did he want to take advantage of others. Lu Yi glared at her unhappily and then received a sinister roll of the eyes from Xia Tao. She took out 5,000 yuan and handed it to Gon Defa readily. Wan Qiqi also contributed 5,000 yuan. Gon Defa came. He had planned for a fierce battle, but he didn't expect it to be resolved so easily. He thought about it and asked curiously, "Do you have a grudge against Chen Xiong?" As the quotation says, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and he should make friends with him." That's right. As the gang leader, Gon Defa's biggest hobby is reading, especially history books and quotations, which he reads every day. I'm just doing justice. What's the grudge between you and Chen Xiong? Wan Qiqi was also very curious. She became a little interested in Gon Defa. His behavior didn't seem like a gang member at all, but rather like an insurance salesman. I just can't stand it. He forces women of good families into prostitution and even sells flour. Gon Defa ansvaret truthfully. Don't you also run a nightclub? Wan Qiqi retorted, Ada, stop laughing at air. My girls are all willing, and I will take them for regular medical examinations. They also have menstrual leave every month. After working for 5 years, they can redeem themselves. Gon Defa defended himself, saying that if he stopped selling flour, he would lose more than half of his money, so he would have to open a nightclub, but he would definitely not force women. Lu Yi whispered in Wan Qiqi's ear, "It's true. People in the underworld call him a fool." Wan Qiqi immediately felt respect for him. This is called a thief should have his own code of conduct. He should be kind and righteous while living in the underworld. He is a good comrade. She was worried about not being able to find anyone to collaborate with for the film she shot last night, and now this guy just landed on her doorstep.
Silly.
Mr. Gon, do you want to make a lot of money? It's a no-cost business. Wan Qiqi asked seductively. I don't sell flour. Gon Defa shook his head vigorously with a serious expression. It's not flour. You can find someone who can edit the videos. Take these things and edit them as soon as possible to put them on the market. We will split the profits 50 to 50. We will do the same for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th seasons. Wan Qiqi took out the film she took last night and stuffed it into Gon Defa's hand. Gon Defa came out in a daze, with a box of film in his hand. Boss, what's going on? The younger brothers who were waiting downstairs saw him and rushed over. The boss asked them to wait downstairs and listen to his signal before rushing up to fight, but they waited for a long time and didn't get any signal. It was so boring. Alyong, go find someone who can edit videos. Defa took the other brothers back home. That night, a few of his trusted subordinates, and the film editors stayed up all night and finally saw the finished film. Gun brother tis. Is this Chun Xiong? The subordinates and Defa were frozen, their mouths opened wide enough to swallow a goose egg. Why did the miserable man in the movie look so much like Ah Xiong?
That hook-nosed guy is Ah Fei.
I know him. One of his men pointed at the sturdy man on the screen with a firm tone. The sturdy man is the best performer among the 12 actors, and he is also the one who bullies Chun Xiong the most. He can be said to be a highlight of this film. That bald guy is Ah Wei. The one with the blue dragon tattoo on his arm is Guang. Subordinates pointed out that they were in a hostile relationship with the E gang and often fought with them. They saw these people more often than they saw their parents. Within just a few minutes of the film, but they were not sure. It was only after they finished watching the 2-hour film that they were sure. The identities of the 11 people have been confirmed, and the remaining one, who looks miserable, is most likely Chun Xiong. Although Chun Xiong is worse than a beast, he was able to become the leader of the righteous gang thanks to his desperate enthusiasm. He is considered a good man in the underworld. He didn't expect that he would be bullied so badly now. Brother Gon, who is this Mrs. Ruan? Someone couldn't help but ask. There are many gangs of all sizes in Hong Kong, and the E gang can at least be ranked among the top 5. Chun Xiong has been so powerful for so many years, but he was destroyed by a Mrs. Ruan of unknown origin. No one dared to believe it if they told others about it. It is said to be the Ruan family in Nanyang. Defa's tone was hesitant. He was actually skeptical. The things that Mrs. Ruan did after arriving in Hong Kong had nothing to do with the Ruan family in Southeast Asia. Moreover, the Yang family, which had just been destroyed, still had business dealings with the Ruan family. Both publicly and privately, the Ruan family has no need to be so harsh with their business partners and wipe out the entire family. Even if they are a gang, they would not be so cruel. Brother Gon, are we really going to show this movie? The subordinate asked excitedly. If this is put on the market, it will definitely cause a sensation in the city. It can also be sold to Wandao and Nanyang, which will definitely make a lot of money. Let it go, why not? Defa did not hesitate. He had been fighting with Chun Xiong for so long and finally waited for this day. Mrs. Ruan had set up a ladder for him. If he still didn't know how to climb up, then all his reading of books would be in vain. Brother Gon, Chun Xiong is definitely doomed, and the other gangs don't know yet. Should we strike first? Asked a trusted subordinate. I'm going to negotiate with Madame Ruan, so don't act rashly. Defa saw that his men were ready to make a move and try to stop them. Even Chun Xiong can't defeat Mrs. Ruan. He doesn't want to confront her head-on. It would be best if they could negotiate peacefully. It was already certain that Chun Xiong would never be able to make a comeback, so everyone relaxed and even played the film again. Why call him Chun Xiong? He should be called Xiao Lao. Those snakes are quite fat. They will definitely make delicious soup. Can you eat something that has been touched by Chun Xiong? Shoot? After watching it for the second time, everyone overcame their psychological barriers and was able to not only appreciate the actor's acting skills, but also crack a few jokes. Just one day later, Defa came to discuss cooperation. Can we split it 40-60, with me taking 60 and Mrs. Ruan taking 40? My brothers do a lot of work and have to support their families, so I want to give them more money. Defa embarrassedly proposed to take 60%. The brothers in his gang had high salaries, higher than many civil servants, which was also the reason why his gang had a low population turnover rate. No matter whether you are a gangster or a white gangster, the purpose is to support your family. As long as the salary is stable and enough to support the family, no one will change jobs. Therefore, most of the money earned by the gang was used by him to pay salaries, and he was able to recruit a lot of new brothers every year. His gang started with only 5 or 6 people but now has nearly 100 people, and he relied on high salaries. Are all your men married? Wan Chi was a little surprised. 4 gang members like this, they live from day to day, and very few of them can get married and lead a stable life. Listening to what Defa said, if you didn't know, you would think he was the boss of the company. 60% of them are married and have babies. Raising children is very expensive, and we have rewards for getting married and having children in our gang. Defa forced a smile from his ferocious face. Although he looked even more ferocious, one could feel that he was telling the truth. Wan Chi's mouth twitched. This Defa was really a lotus in the gang and didn't look like a gangster at all. You like children very much? I like it. The child is so cute.
Left even harder.
He liked all the children born to his gang brothers, but they were too timid. They would cry every time they saw him, so he was embarrassed to tease them. Does Mr. Gon have any children? Wan Chi was quite curious. Since he liked children so much, he must have been married a long time ago, right? No, I'm not married yet. Defa spoke in a resentful tone. He really wanted to get married and have a football team, but no girl was willing to marry him. Every time his mother arranged a blind date for him, they would only meet once at most, and then there would be no news after that. The girls and their introducers gave the same reason. They were worried that he would commit domestic violence. How is that possible? He is very gentlemanly. Every time he fights back after others strike first. Wan Chi looked interested. This Defa completely overturned her fixed impression of gang leaders. He is polite, well-behaved, traditional in his thinking, and very family-oriented. Apart from his fierce appearance, he is truly a good man suitable for family life. She was quite curious. How did such an honest man end up in a gang? What do your parents do? Wan Chi couldn't help but ask. They opened a tea restaurant, Gonji Tea Restaurant. The food is delicious. Mrs. Wan can bring your husband and friends there. Just mention my name and you'll get a 12% discount. Gonda said with a smile. Okay, I'll definitely go when I have time. Wan Chi agreed with a smile and became more and more curious. Since her parents opened a tea restaurant, it was definitely not hereditary, and Defa was a member of the Black generation. When they got to know each other better, she had a hunch that Defa's experience must be very interesting. Okay, I'll give you 60%. When will it be released? Wan Chi agreed readily. After all, it was a business with no capital investment and she would make pure profit. It will be released in a few days. I will come to settle accounts with Mrs. Wan on the 15th of every month. Defa's face was filled with a ferocious smile, and his huge body was visibly relaxed. He had once again resolved the big issue peacefully. It was great that he didn't have to fight. As a gang leader, what he hates most is fighting and killing, and he is also afraid of blood. Unless it is absolutely necessary, he will never use his hands, only his mouth. Wan Chi naturally had no problem with this. She planned to let Mo Jinsong arrange someone to hand over the business to Defa, and all the money would be handed over to the government, as she would not keep it for herself. Defa found that she was easy to talk to and became bolder, so he proposed to divide the territory of Yi Gang. I'll give you the land to run, and 40% of the income will belong to me. Wan Chi was still very easy to talk to, and Defa was very happy to hear that. After taking over the Yi Gang's territory, their gang would definitely be able to make it into the top 3. The business, Defa was about to leave, but Wan Chi suddenly asked, do you want to become bigger and stronger, break out of Hong Kong and go to the United States? Defa. What does it mean? I have 20 kilograms of flour and I need someone to help me sell it in the United States. Wan Chi said it calmly, as if she was really just going to sell flour. I don't do this business. Gonda expressed his seriousness and refused without hesitation. Not killing people indiscriminately, not forcing women of good families into prostitution, and not selling flour were the principles he set for himself, and he swore an oath in front of all his ancestors. The United States is unwilling to do it either? Wan Chi asked.
No.
Defa's refusal was particularly firm. Mr. Gon is obviously a book lover, so he must be very knowledgeable about history, right? Wan Chichi changed the subject and asked with a smile. I do love reading and have a certain understanding of history. Gondefa raised the corners of his mouth, unable to conceal his happiness. From childhood to adulthood, he liked to hear people praise him for his good academic performance the most. Unfortunately, from childhood to adulthood, the thing I heard the most was, "You are so good at fighting." It really makes him sad. Wan Chichi smiled and asked, Mr. Gon must know about the war in 1840, right? I know. That's why I'm against selling this. Gondefa nodded vigorously. He resolutely resisted this kind of business because he didn't want history to repeat itself. That's why I let you do business abroad, not in China. Wan Chichi lobbied without any effort. Gondefa's expression relaxed. This sounded reasonable. His ancestors would not blame him, right? But 20 kilograms is not enough. There are a lot of Americans. Wan Chichi's mouth corners curled up. Hasn't this led to her taking the bait? I'll be responsible for the goods, you just need to be responsible for the sales. And, by the way, go to the United States to set up a sect. Hong Kong is a small place. Even if you become the best, it's nothing great. Going abroad and fighting for territory with the mafia, that's what's called great. Wan Chichi threw out another sweet bait. Since he had entered the underworld, he must be the best. Gondefa definitely had ambitions. Sure enough, Gondefa's eyes brightened a lot. The mafia must have a lot of territories. If he could take them over, he could recruit many younger brothers into the gang and have many more children. I have never been to the United States and am not familiar with it. Please give me some time so I can get a feel for the situation there. Gondefa agreed, but he did not want to fight a battle without preparation, so he had to go on a business trip to the United States. You don't have to worry about shipping. You just need to sell it in the United States. It's good to test the waters first. Wan Chichi plans to deliver the goods personally, and nothing can be safer than her space. As for the source of goods, she planned to go to the Forbidden Triangle to see if she could buy them for free. Cooperation discussion was very pleasant. Gondefa stood up and was about to say goodbye, but he saw a female ghost with disheveled hair and white clothes crawling in through the window. He was so scared that he gasped and took a few steps back. What's there to eat? Xia Tao crawled in as if no one was around, raised her head and revealed her beautiful cold face, and glanced at Gondefa. She remembered this big guy, who was timid and cowardly. Next time please go through the main entrance and wear formal attire. Wan Chichi looked at her speechlessly. She always appeared in this Sadako costume. Couldn't she change into some more festive pajamas? Xia Tao snorted, pretending she didn't hear anything, and went into the house to ask Manzai for food. After a while, she came out with a biscuit in her mouth and a few more in her hands. Why don't you sell it in Sakura country? Xia Tao was dissatisfied and asked why not sell it to the Sakura country. If the people of Sakura country become the sick men of East Asia, Sakura country will perish even without blowing up the mountains. If there's not enough goods, we will sell them to the United States first, and then to Sakura country later. Wan Chichi explained that she only had 20 kilograms on hand, which was not enough to sell in the United States. I'm going to the Forbidden Triangle Lane. Xia Tao quickly thought of a solution and volunteered to purchase the goods, with a strong reason. I don't need to spend a penny. Gondefa's eyelids twitched a few times. It didn't cost a penny. Wasn't this robbery? Miss, the firepower over there is very strong. Gondefa kindly reminded that there was an armed team over there, and this ghost girl was too bold. It's okay, just bring more ammunition. Xia Tao said it easily, saying that it would be more difficult to do things with too many people, so she should be able to do it with more ammunition. Gondefa opened his mouth and wanted to say a few more words of advice, but Wan Chichi interrupted him and said, Mr. Gon, you should take over Chen Xiong's territory as soon as possible. Chen Xiong has been missing for 3 days. Other gangs must have noticed it, so they have to act quickly. Gondefa's expression turned serious, and he left in a hurry. If you can't beat them, you can call me. Wan Chichi reminded. Thank you, Mrs. Wan. I should be able to do it. Gondefa thanked him emphatically but refused. Apparently, he was confident in his fighting ability. Wan Chichi became more curious. After Gondefa left, She made a bet with Xia Tao on whether Gon Defa could defeat other gangs, with a stake of 1,000 yuan. If you are so cowardly, you will definitely not win. Xia Tao spoke with disdain and was not optimistic about Gon Defa. Not necessarily. I think he can win. Ruan Qiqi still has confidence in Gon Defa. I'll keep an eye on it. Xia Tao suddenly became interested and planned to keep an eye on Gon Defa every day. It happened that she had nothing to do recently and was very bored. After that, Xia Tao kept an eye on Gon Defa like a shadow every day, just like she was at work, and reported to Ruan Qiqi after work. I've never seen such a stupid person. He's in a gang, but he still tried to reason with others. He talked for an hour, but the situation could have been solved in 10 minutes at most with fists. Xia Tao became more and more disgusted with Gon Defa. How could such a cowardly person become a gang leader? Then there will be no problem for her to be the Minister of Education. She is much more capable than Gon Swansong. In the next few days, Gon Defa took over Qin Xiong's territory. There were quite a few people in the E-gang, and they were divided into several factions, and none of them were willing to be taken over by outsiders. So, no matter how much Gon Defa disliked fighting, he still fought a few battles in the past few days and won all of them. Taking over the E-gang was relatively smooth. Those who were unwilling to accept the situation were defeated by Gon Defa and surrendered to his gang. However, even though the internal situation was resolved, there was still a group of wolves outside who were eyeing him covetously. On this day, Gon Defa met with the biggest gang in Hong Kong. The boss asked me to tell you something. If you are willing to submit to our gang, the boss will let you be the leader. The other party sent a hall leader with 20 or 30 brothers, all holding weapons and looking very aggressive. I'd rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. Please thank your boss for me. I appreciate your kindness. Gon Defa politely declined. He just wanted to be the boss. Duck, you don't want to drink the toast. You have to drink the forfeit. You are shameless. Please use civilized language and don't lead children astray.
Gan dues fas darkened.
He hated people who swore all the time. It was obvious that they were uneducated and did not like to read. They were terrible. Civilization, you mother, I insist on saying it. Come and fight. The other party was very arrogant and even hooked his finger at Gon Defa provocatively, which made him really deserve a beating. Gon Defa's brothers couldn't bear it anymore and rushed forward to fight, but were stopped by Gon Defa. I'll do it. Gon Defa spoke in a cold tone. He took off his haute couture suit and asked his men to hold it. Then he unbuttoned his shirt collar, rolled up his sleeves, stretched his neck a few times, and walked towards the dozens of people opposite him. TSK, who are you pretending for? I can kill you with just one punch. The other party's arrogant voice came to an abrupt halt as Gon Defa silenced him with a punch. He was extremely quick and agile, and with 3 bangs he crippled the man. People who are uncivilized will be beaten. Will you swear again next time? Gon Defa lifted the man up with one hand and faced him. Still unwilling to change? Gon Defa frowned, waiting for a long time, but getting no reply. He was really stubborn. The guy who had completely fainted was beaten again and brought back to life. Will you still swear in the future? Gon Defa asked again. Change it, I won't say it again. You speak so quickly, without any sincerity at all. Gon Defa was very dissatisfied and beat him again, and the other party fainted again. The younger brothers nearby wanted to save people, but they were intimidated by Gon Defa's terrifying fighting power, and no one dared to step forward. Will you still swear in the future? Gon Defa held the person in one hand and asked slowly, while he clenched his other hand, ready to swing his fist at any time.
No.
I won't say it anymore. I won't say it even if you kill me. The guy who got beaten was in tears. Why the heck had he never heard of this before? How could a fool be so good at fighting? Grass. No wonder no one else in the gang wanted to come. He was the only one who came and was beaten so badly that even his parents couldn't recognize him. You're still going to tell me if I don't kill you? Gon Defa's eyebrows were twisted into a straight line, and he looked at him with a look of disappointment, saying that it was really impossible to carve a rotten wood or carve a stubborn stone. His fist, which was bigger than a casserole, was raised a few centimeters, ready to strike. I won't tell you unless you kill me. Please stop. My father often patronizes your business, and we have a long-standing friendship. The victim was forced to bring up his own father. Now, he only hopes that what the old man said about his first love with the silly mother is true. The friendship between first loves should be strong enough, right? Who is your dad? Gondefa moved his fist a little and asked seriously. Fish seller Lien, your dad often buys fish for my dad. Our two families are old friends. The sucker was eager to make friends with them and even told them about his parents' business, which he had previously disdained. Gondefa lowered his fist and threw him to the ground. What's your name? Wan Fuxing, just let Brother Gon tell me to have a baby. Shengzai jumped up from the ground, his colorful face filled with a fawning smile, completely devoid of his previous arrogance. The younger brothers beside him looked at him in confusion, and one of them reminded him quietly, Brother Sheng, the boss asked us to do something. Shut up. Shengzai glared angrily. His life is almost gone. What the heck is going on? And the boss, knowing that the fool was such a good fighter, still cruelly sent him to die. He even gave the boss the cigar that he was reluctant to eat, but in return he was treated like this. So disheartening. Saved all his cigars and sold them for money, and never gave even a single one to his father. Give birth to a baby? Gondefa schoted.
Yes.
Birth to the baby very quickly, with a slightly hunched back, and her appearance and behavior were very much like a servant in the palace. How much do you earn in the gang? Gondefa asked. Being a lackey gets paid? Shengzai and his brothers all had their eyes wide open. It was the first time they heard that working as a henchman got paid. Didn't they just make money by demarcating the territory? What kind of bizarre story is this? If the henchman gets paid, then wouldn't the lady have to take a paid vacation? Why don't the lackeys get paid? We in the Rongyao gang will pay them. A younger brother behind Gondefa spoke with a particularly proud tone. How much? Someone asked curiously. If there are only a few melons and dates, it would be meaningless. 1,500 per month for days of paid vacation, bonuses for getting married and having children, and you can borrow money from the gang to buy a house, interest-free. Gondefa signaled his younger brother beside him to explain, but the younger brother explained reluctantly. They concealed everything and their mouths were tighter than those covered with super glue, just to guard against these people. The gang's great benefits with outsiders. It's enough for them to know about it internally. If they recruit a large group of people, they are worried that the gang will be short of funds and won't have enough to share. Shengzai and his little brothers' eyeballs almost popped out, and their mouths were wide open enough to swallow goose eggs. They live in the same Hong Kong as these people, right? They are in the same world, right? Why is the difference so big? The police only get 700 to 800 yuan salary a month, but these thugs can actually get 1,500 yuan. They even get bonuses for getting married and having kids? Gondefa seriously ill? Shengzai and his gang all looked at Gondefa, their eyes acting as if they were caring for a mentally slow person. No wonder he is called Silly Guy. It turns out he doesn't just look silly, he is really silly. A group of people were crazy about it. The reason they became henchmen was to make money quickly. They could earn 1,500 yuan a month, which was higher than working in a company. Even a fool would be tempted. I have a friend who wants to know if your glory gang is still hiring? Shengzai made friends out of nothing and asked about what he and his younger brothers were thinking. Everyone looked at Gondefa eagerly.
Move. No.
Gondefa and his men spoke in unison. Brother Gon, if we recruit so many more people, the gang won't have enough money. The subordinates pulled Gondefa away and whispered to him. Although he took over the E-gang's territory, he also recruited a lot of his lackeys, and there is not much money left in the account. Once the film is released to the market, we will make money quickly. After a while, we will go to the United States to do business and make more money. Gondefa had already made plans. The flour business in the United States was very profitable. It was more than enough to pay the gang members' salaries and even have some money left over to expand the territory. When they heard that they could make a lot of money, the subordinates kept silent. Gondefa said to Shengzai and the others, to join our Rongyao gang, you must do 3 things. Which 3 points? Don't kill innocent people, Don't force women into prostitution, and don't sell flour to your compatriots. Gondefa changed the gang rules a little bit. He had already discussed it with his ancestors, and they had no objection. Shengzai and a group of his younger brothers went to the other side to talk in private. Brother Sheng, shall we go? Go ahead, it's 1500. If the boss gets angry, will he retaliate against us? It's okay. The fool is so good at fighting. Let the boss find the fool. With just a few words, a few brainless guys made the decision. Hello, Brother Gon. The group of people changed their words very smoothly without any awkwardness. Once you join our gang, you must abide by the gang rules. If you violate the gang rules, not only will you have to return your previous salary, but you will also be fined. Gondefa's tone was very serious, and coupled with his ferocious expression, it was quite intimidating. We will definitely comply. A group of people patted their chests and assured that they were not born bad people, they received money every month, and they did not want to be bad people. Thus, the storm was calmed down, and the Glory Gang absorbed 16 new forces, making the team even stronger. When the leader of the largest gang found out, he was furious and personally challenged Gonda to a fight. Gondefa arrived at the appointment on time and brought a number of his men, including Shengzai and his men. Wan Fusheng, UF can get back here, or don't blame me for being unethical. Go to the vegetable market to find your dad. When the boss saw Shengzai, his eyes were filled with anger. He was determined to deal with this traitor personally. Boss, I'll call you boss for the last time. When I came to you, I didn't sign a lifetime contract. I'm a free man. Water flows to the lowest place, and people go to the highest place. I can get 1,500 yuan a month from the Glory Gang. I can get bonuses for marrying and having children. I can get interest-free loans to buy a house. It's better than working in a company. Scarlu, do you think I should leave? Shengzai stood behind Gondefa, poked his head out, and talked to the former boss Scarlu. Scarlu gritted his teeth. Of course he knew that the Glory Gang had good benefits, so he took every precaution to prevent his men from knowing. He didn't expect that he still failed to prevent it. This idiot Gondefa is not only good at fighting but also has great luck. He sent several groups of people to attack, but they were unable to kill this idiot. And this idiot's parents, they are old, but they can fight better than young people. Several groups of men he sent out were all beaten up and had their hands and feet broken. They were also forced to recite the rules for being a good pupil and child, and if they couldn't recite it, they would be beaten. Duck your mother. Scarlu didn't wait for Shengzai to finish speaking. He took out the firecracker from his waist and shot at Shengzai's head. Shengzai quickly shrank his head and hid behind Gondefa, secretly rejoicing in his heart that since the silly guy was so big, he would be safe from the bullets. However, there was no firing sound. Gondefa reacted quickly. When Scarlu drew his gun, he couldn't find anything handy, so he picked up the baby behind him and smashed it hard. The baby was like a giant sweet potato, shooting over like wind, fire, and lightning, and hitting Scarlu right on the body. The fire was burned off, and Scarlu's ribs were broken and he fainted. Shengzai also felt dizzy because the speed was too fast, and he felt dizzy. The other members of the Glory Gang reacted quickly as well. They rushed forward and easily subdued the leaderless and frightened group of people. No blood was shed, as they just used their fists to beat them. Gondefa was very satisfied with this. He liked civilized fighting. Fighting with knives and guns was too rough. He strode to Scarlu, squatted down, and wanted to wake him up so that he could have a good talk about the redivision of territory. As a result, he saw 2 tubes of blood under Scarlu's nose. Bright red. Gondefa's face turned pale instantly, and he fell to the ground with a thud, and the ground shook a few times. Brother Gon. Aoyang, his trusted subordinate, walked over slowly, squatted down, and pinched Gondefa's philtrum with all his strength. 1 minute later, Gondefa recovered his blood and stood up straight with a somersault. He no longer had any of his previous weakness. Scarlu's men were all stunned. He fought fiercely, fainted faster than having a heart attack, and woke up even faster. He is indeed a tough guy named Gon. Scarlu and Shengzai were still unconscious on the ground. Gon Defa glanced at Aoyang, who understood what he meant. He stretched out his left and right hands and pinched the two men's rinzhong at the same time. He used the same force as when he pinched Gon Defa because he was used to it. So, in less than half a minute, Scar Lu and Wan Fuxing woke up from the pain. Wan Fuxing even performed a flexible sweet potato roll on the ground, rolling several times before getting up. There was a bright red blood mark under his nose, and it was burning with pain. Hiss! You strangled me to death. Wan Fuxing gasped in pain. His philtrum was broken by the pinch. Aoyang gave him a cold look, and he immediately shut up, smiled ingratiatingly, and stepped back to act like a quail. Scar Lu also wanted to get up, but the pain was so severe that he almost died. Based on his experience, he had at least 7 broken ribs. I'm willing to admit defeat. Humph, I won't even blink an eye. 20 years later, I'll be a brave man again. Scar Lu thought Gon Defa was going to kill him, so he held his head high and was ready to die. Gonda laughed, walked up to Scar Lu, and squatted down. His parents taught him that he should look the other person straight in the eye when talking to him, as this was polite. But he was tall and strong, and even if he squatted down, he was still looking down at Scar Lu. That street in the west of the city. How about buying your life? You wish. Scar Lu's face changed. He glared at Gon Defa fiercely and sneered. Just kill me. Anyway, he has already trained a successor, so even if he dies, the gang will not be in chaos. The street in the west of the city has the most shops and is the main source of income for the gang. Many brothers died in order to seize this street. Even if he dies, he will not give it up. Then it's the street in the south of the city. Gon Defa immediately changed to a street in the south of the city. He had originally wanted a street in the south of the city. The street in the east of the city was more lucrative, and Scar Lu didn't have the courage to give it to him. He was not the only one who had the final say in the gang. Although the street in the south of the city is not as oily as the one in the east, rat meat is still meat, and he doesn't despise it. He learned this trick from his father. His father loved sea fishing, but he was particularly bad at fishing rods. Every time he asked his mother for money to buy a fishing rod, he would quote an outrageous price and then be scolded by his mother. After his mother finished scolding him, his father would quote the price of the fishing rod he wanted. It wasn't cheap, but it was still a lot cheaper than the previous price, so his mother would usually agree. His father got the fishing rod he wanted, and his mother verified her authority in the family, and they were both very satisfied with the result. From watching his father and his mother battle wits and courage since he was a child, and he just used it on Scar Lu. Sure enough, Scar Lu's expression softened, but he still didn't give in. It's just a street after all. Your son is studying in the United States. I heard that he is a good kid with excellent academic performance. If he gets hit by a car when he goes out one day, or gets hit by a flower pot falling from the building, Gon Defa, you have no moral principles, try to touch my son. Scar Lu was so angry that he pulled his ribs. The pain made him break out in a cold sweat, and his face turned paler than paper. How many times have you sent people to mess with my parents? You were the first to act unethically. Gandishnated. If his parents weren't good at fighting, he would have been bullied to death. Scar Lu looked embarrassed, his eyes were evasive, and he felt very guilty. Brother Gon, don't waste time talking to him. Kill him first, then go to the United States to get his son. The confidant Aoyang and Gon Defa are friends who are as close as brothers and have a special understanding of each other, so they play the good guy role. Playing the good cop is sarcastic and harsh, while playing the bad cop is tolerant and forgiving. Okay, the street in the south of the city is yours, but you are not allowed to touch my son. Scar Lu gave in. He couldn't afford the gamble. He had only one precious son in his whole life, and he was so outstanding. He always got the first place in the exams. Every teacher who taught his son said that his son was a pillar of the country. Therefore, he sent his son to study in the United States when he was only 8 years old. Now his son is 15 and is getting more and more outstanding. Although he is a gangster whose head is tied to his belt, his son is not. His son wants to be a lawyer, a doctor, and a scientist. I will take my brothers to the south of the city to take over in 3 days. Aoyang, ask a few brothers to take Brother Lu to the hospital. Gondefa was very satisfied. He had solved a problem without bloodshed once again and gained an entire street of territory. Their Rongyao gang was becoming more and more powerful. No, I have someone. Scar Lu refused angrily. This was his last bit of dignity. But, boss, this is the last time I'll call you boss. From now on, we, members of the Glory Gang. A dozen younger brothers came over hesitantly to resign. Wan Fuxing had just chatted with them for a while, and as they talked, they were deeply moved. A salary of 1,500 yuan, paid vacation, bonuses for getting married and having children, and interest-free loans for buying a house. Who wouldn't be tempted by such good benefits? They also want to get married, have children, buy a house, and live a stable life. The Glory Gang can help them realize their wishes. They are not betraying their master. They are just following their heart. Duck your mother, I don't agree. Scar Lu was so angry that his body shook so violently that his broken ribs almost pierced his lungs, and he almost died from the pain. Didn't your parents teach you to use civilized language since you were a child? Gondefa reminded unhappily that he hated to hear swear words the most, as they polluted social morals and would also lead children astray, and he would correct them every time he saw them. Duck, it's none of your business. Scar Lu was so angry that he forgot his situation and blurted out swear words, and then nothing happened. Was knocked unconscious by Gondefa. Although most of his men had jumped ship, there were still 2 loyal men who remained steadfast in guarding Scar Lu. The kind-hearted Gondefa took off a broken door panel and lent it to them so that they could carry Scar Lu to the hospital. Remember to return the door panels after use. Gondefa reminded seriously that although the door panel was broken, it could be used for a few more years after being repaired and should not be wasted. Scar Lu woke up slowly and just happened to hear these words. He glanced down and saw the broken door panel under him. He was so angry that he fainted again. The door panels are used to carry dead people, and he is not dead yet. He and Gondefa are sworn enemies. Gondefa took 15 brothers with him for this battle. When he came back, he had 12 more brothers and an extra street, so he returned with a full load. Xia Tao had been watching secretly, enjoying it every day like she was watching a play, and she would share it with Ruan Chichi when she got home. You're not bad, but you're lucky, otherwise you would have been beaten to death long ago. Xia Tao didn't think much of Gondefa and spoke with disdain. Moreover, Gondefa's good luck made her think of an unpleasant person, Bai Fingshou, against whom she had not yet succeeded in taking revenge. Xia Tao has always hated people like God's own son. She hates a biased God, and she hates people who are biased against her even more. I'm not just lucky, I'm also very wise, brave, and resourceful. Ruan Chichi thinks highly of Gondefa, who is truly a breath of fresh air in the gang. She is now more and more curious about Gondefa's path from evil to evil. Was he forced into this, or was he willing? Gondefa's Glory Gang has been growing stronger and stronger, now with nearly 300 members, becoming the second largest gang in Hong Kong, the first being Scarlet Lucius's gang. Having more people is a good thing, but the gang's funds are becoming tighter, so Gondefa asked his men to hurry up and release the blockbuster. There happened to be a cinema on the street in the south of the city, where Scar Lu was buried. He gave some gifts and completed the screening procedures so that he could show the midnight show in the cinema. He named the movie, which is very simple and crude, Xiong and the 11 Brothers. The title of the film is not very attractive, but the promotional poster of the cinema is very attractive. It is a photo of Chen Xiong and others, especially the close-up of Chen Xiong's face. His painful and humiliating expression is captured particularly clearly. Chen Xiong used to be domineering and many people knew him. Although the poster had no aesthetic appeal and was even a bit disgusting, it still attracted many people to watch the midnight show. At first, everyone thought it was just a gimmick, but after watching the 2-hour movie, everyone was silent, with turbulent waves in their hearts. It is 100% Chen Xiong himself. They will never admit their mistake. When they thought about Chen Xiong, the bully who used to bully men and women, being treated like this now. Especially those who had been bullied by Chen Xiong in the past, seeing it again and again made them happier than winning the lottery. Within 2 days, the film became a huge hit in the city, outperforming other films released at the same time. Other cinemas were jealous and came to honor to buy the screening rights. A time, Qin Xiong's reputation spread far and wide in Hong Kong and even spread to Southeast Asia and Taiwan. Cinemas there all came to buy the screening rights. The Glory Gang couldn't stop collecting money, and the gang's financial difficulties were immediately resolved. In the blink of an eye, it was mid-December and Wan Chichi and his friends had been in Hong Kong for a month. Gon Defa came to Wan Chichi to settle his profits, carrying a bulging red and blue woven bag. This film was made at almost zero cost. Apart from sharing the profits with the major cinema chains, there was also a lot of money given as tribute to those above. A total of 400,000, all here, Madame Ruan. Please count them. Gon Defa put the woven bag on the table, unzipped it, and found money inside. Need not. Wan Chichi just took a look and took the bag away. She trusted Gon Defa's character. Gon Defa was very happy. He liked being trusted. Mrs. Ruan, the audience strongly requests a second film, preferably with the original cast. I'll go take the photo in a moment. So many days have passed. The injuries of Qin Xiong and his men should have healed, right? Gonda became shy when he expressed his feelings and was hesitant to speak. Just tell me what you want to say. Wan Chichi's impression of him became better and better. He was very easy to talk to. Can I watch the filming live? Gon Defa brought it up with difficulty. In fact, he had no interest in this kind of thing, but he was a person with a strong thirst for knowledge and was very studious. This kind of film is very profitable, much more than what he makes from running a nightclub. He wants to learn the filming techniques so that he can catch those criminals and make films with them in the future. He doesn't have to pay them wages, and he can punish the bad guys. He can also make a lot of money and reward the gang members to have more children. It's like killing 4 birds with 1 stone. Of course, see you at 3 in the afternoon. Wan Chichi agreed readily and also told the address of the factory. Gon Defa said he would arrive on time and then said goodbye and left. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Wan Chichi and Lu Yi arrived first, and Xia Tao went to find the actors. Gon Defa brought his childhood friend Aliang and waited early.
Come in.
Wan Chichi nodded at them and walked in front with Lu Yi. Although Qin Xiong and the other 12 people were imprisoned, they were well-fed and they were not exposed to the sun, so they all looked much fairer and more photogenic. When they pushed open the door, a ray of sunlight came in. Qin Xiong and the others subconsciously covered their eyes. After a long time, they dared to open their eyes. When they saw Wan Chichi and Lu Yi, they curled up in fear. Especially Qin Xiong. He looks so timid. Where is the demeanor of the former leader of the Yi gang? Don't be afraid. The first time is new, the second time is familiar, and the third time is just a passing fad. You will definitely get used to it. Wan Chichi comforted them softly, and she was willing to be patient with employees who could make a lot of money. But to Qin Xiong and the others, it sounded like devastating bad news, and they didn't want to get used to this kind of life at all. I have another good news for you. The movie you co-starred in has been released. It's a big hit and has become popular both at home and abroad. Southeast Asia and Taiwan have bought the screening rights. After the 2nd and 3rd seasons are finished, you will definitely be popular all over the world.
Come on.
Wan Chichi reported the good news with a smile and decided to reward these people by giving them an extra pill. Qin Xiong and the others saw darkness before their eyes and were completely in despair. The last bit of their dignity was torn apart by this hateful woman. Even if they could get out, they would not be able to gain a foothold in Hong Kong. Zich, if you have the guts, kill me, kill me. Qin Xiong started swearing, using a lot of foul language. Wan Chichi was indifferent. She would not be fooled and kill her cash cow. But she was still unhappy, so she would punish Qin Xiong by making him take an extra pill. Meh, outside, she pleaded. Xia Tao came in leading 2 sheep, her shoes covered in mud. She had to go to the countryside to find the sheep, and it took her a lot of effort. These 2 are the most rogue. Xia Tao introduced the 2 new actors in a particularly grand manner. Get to work. Chi fed the medicine to Qin Xiong and the others, and also fed a pill to the two sheep, and Qin Xiong added 2 more pills. Gon Defa watched intently, holding a pen and a small notebook in his hands. His father said that a good memory is not as good as a bad pen, so he developed the good habit of taking notes since he was a child. However, Gon Defa felt a little nauseous just after the filming began. However, in order to make a lot of money, he still suppressed his nausea and tried hard to watch and learn with his eyes wide open. Why do you remember it in such detail? Do you want to practice it yourself? Xia Tao asked curiously. Not only did this guy remember it in detail, he also provided pictures. Not to mention, the big guy's simple sketches were very good and lifelike. Of course not, I just want to learn how to make a film. Gonda's face turned red with embarrassment. He liked the opposite love, and he felt disgusted just by looking at this kind of thing. Are you stupid? There are so many directors in Hong Kong. Do you really need to shoot the film yourself? Everyone has their own expertise. Why are you trying to steal the director's job? Xia Tao rolled her eyes. She couldn't figure out where this big idiot came from. Yes, thank you, miss. Xia, for your advice. Gon Defa almost slipped up and quickly changed his words. You said I was a ghost? Xia Tao had very pointed ears, and she looked at him grimly, with a gloomy face.
No.
No, you heard it wrong. Gon Defa shook his head vigorously and moved back a little. This Miss Xia would definitely be a hit in a ghost movie. She looked more like a ghost than a real ghost, and she didn't even need to wear makeup. Xia Tao snorted coldly and continued to light the room. After an hour of filming, Qin Xiong had suffered many wounds and was bleeding profusely. Gon Defa gritted his teeth and used all his strength, but he still couldn't stop the dizziness. Give me some light. Xia Tao was in a hurry to pee, so she stuffed the lighting board into his hands. But, I'm sorry, Gonda could finish his words. His huge body fell straight down on her. Xia Tao could actually have dodged, but she was holding a lighting board that she had bought at a high price, and it affected her speed, so Gon Defa hit her accurately.
Duck.
Xia Tao's bones were almost broken from the blow, and Gon Defa was pressing on her so hard that she couldn't be pushed away. Aoyong didn't come over and pinch his Renjong point in time, because he was immersed in watching and had no idea that his dear boss had fainted. It took Xia Tao's hands and feet, using all her strength, to push Gon Defa aside. He lay on the ground motionless, his face pale, as if he were dead. Don't play dead, I didn't do anything cruel. Xia Tao kicked her feet, but there was no response, and she couldn't help feeling a little panicked. Before coming to Hong Kong, she made a promise in front of Chi that she would never kill anyone casually, otherwise she would be thrown into the mountains to feed the trees. Hey, wake up. If you don't wake up, I'll castrate you. Xia Tao kicked him a few more times and threatened him viciously, but failed to wake Gon Defa up. Her end finally alarmed Chi. The light was gone, so what was the point of taking pictures? Chi looked over with dissatisfaction, and Xia Tao quickly explained, I didn't do it, he hit me first, I just pushed him lightly, and that's how he did it. Darn, it looks stronger than a bear, but is as soft as tofu. Bad review. Aoyong finally realized what was happening and remembered his boss. He hurried over and pinched his Renjong point skillfully. 1 minute later. Gon Defa retsovered. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I faint when I see blood. Gon Defa had just stood firm when he hurriedly explained that what he had done was really offensive, was furious and full of murderous intent, calmed down immediately after hearing this. She looked him up and down curiously. How could such a big guy faint at the sight of blood? Are you fainting at just a little bit of blood? Xia Tao has a strong desire for knowledge. This is the first time she has seen someone fainting at the sight of blood.
Yes.
Gon Defa nodded slowly. He didn't want to do that either. But this is innate, he can't control it. What about your wedding night? Xia Tao spoke with sympathy. There was no way to ask someone to do this kind of thing for you. TSK. How pitiful. Gon Defa was confused and didn't react. His fainting at the sight of blood and his wedding night? Moreover, he has never even held a girl's hand, and he dare not even think about the wedding night. Alyang stood on tiptoe and whispered something in his ear. Defa suddenly became shy and his face turned purple. I don't have a girlfriend yet, and not all girls bleed. It depends on the individual's physique and the nature of their work. Also, it's just a layer of membrane. It's not that important, just like our hair and nails. Defa is very serious about popularizing science. He does not like the practice of using the onset of menstruation as the only criterion for judging a woman's chastity, as it is too disrespectful to women. Even if one loses virginity, it is the man's fault, so why blame the woman? Xia Tao was stunned and looked at the man in front of her in surprise. She didn't expect that this rough guy would actually speak up for a woman. It really shows that you can't judge a person by his appearance. Numbular. Xia Tao snorted, turned her head away, and continued to light the room. Although he seems calm on the surface, his mind is full of thoughts and all kinds of messy things. Call it a day. The filming was finally finished and Ruan Chichi announced that it was time to go off work. Were once so fair and tender, were lying on the ground covered with wounds, without even the strength to open their eyes. Shall we have mutton soup for dinner? Xia Tao looked at the two sheep with shining eyes. It had been a long time since she had eaten mutton soup. After all, he's an employee, just keep him. Ruan Chichi felt a little reluctant. After all, he had put in a lot of effort. He should be a moral person and not just kill him after using his strength. Meh. The two sheep that escaped from the tiger's mouth bleated at Ruan Chichi with gratitude. Send someone to take care of them. They must be carefully raised so as not to affect the filming of the third season. Also, look for some new actors who have committed serious crimes, regardless of gender, age, or species. Ruan Chichi gave instructions one by one, and Defa took notes carefully in a small notebook, nodding from time to time. Please rest assured, we will definitely keep them fat and healthy. It will not affect our work at all, and we will find new actors as soon as possible. Defa solemnly assured that these people were all gods of wealth and must be carefully raised like canaries. There's one more thing. Chen Xiong is now considered a star, so he needs a catchy stage name. The name Chen Xiong doesn't fit the mainstream of the film, so give him a more suitable name. Ruan Chichi thought of another thing and asked everyone to think of a stage name together. Little Earthworm.
Xia Tao.
Yan Hong. Lu Yi chose a popular name for a brothel. How is Chen Meyer? Defa thought of a name very seriously. That's it. From now on, I'll leave my stage name to you. Ruan Chichi was very satisfied with his stage name and readily handed the naming task to Defa. Defa grinned. He liked being entrusted with important tasks. It showed that he was capable and trustworthy. On the ground, fainted again out of anger when he heard that he had a new stage name, Fenji Yubian. The rough films were also handed over to Defa, who hired someone to edit them and then put them on the market to make a lot of money. Mrs. Ruan, Mr. Liu, Miss Xia, could you please take the trouble to guide the editing work?
Defa invited her Sincereli.
He felt that Mrs. Ruan had a very keen understanding of the market and would definitely be able to provide valuable suggestions. Ruan Chichi was also quite tempted. She had never seen the editor in action before, so she agreed. The group arrived at the headquarters of the Glory Gang, an abandoned warehouse located in the wilderness, but it was very clean, with many flowers planted in the yard, and the interior was also arranged in an orderly manner. It was divided into various office areas just like an office building. Defa's office was at the innermost part. There were 2 money trees at the door and a wealth-gathering array on the table. The huge cabinet was filled with all kinds of Barbie dolls. Ruan Chichi took a look and was surprised to see that all the Disney Barbie dolls were there. It turns out that there is a little princess living in every macho man's heart. The editor began to work. Ruan Chichi made many valuable suggestions based on his experience of looking at a 128G hard drive in his previous life. Sure enough, after the editing, the viewing experience was greatly improved. 2. Our film was successfully edited and could be put on the market soon, making a lot of money. One of his men knocked on the door and came in, looking for Alyang. The two whispered for a while, and Alyang frowned. What happened? Defa asked with concern. Liangzai got into a fight at school again, And Aling was scolded by the teacher again, so she called me to transfer Liangzai to another school. How can I find a school in such a short time? It was not easy to find the school. Liang was almost worried to death. Liangzai was his son, who was in the first grade of primary school. Since he started school, his parents were called to the school every few days because he had fought with his classmates. But it was obviously those classmates who provoked him first, saying that Liangzi's father was a lackey and his mother was an easy woman. Liangzi then resisted. The teacher was indiscriminate and only criticized his son every time and mocked his wife. He was so angry that he wanted to beat the teacher to death. He is a henchman. He has never bullied anyone. His wife used to be a easy-souled woman, but she was forced into it. Now she has turned over a new leaf. Why does he bully others like this? Do you want to go to the teacher's house tonight? Gone Defa finished speaking, Xia Tao said, show this teacher some color. Let her look down on others. You can't do that. You have to respect the teacher. I mean, give the teacher a gift in the evening and have a good talk with the teacher. Gone Defa looked at Xia Tao with disapproval. How could she hit her teacher? That was outrageous. You are so honest. Why don't you take the police exam? Xia Tao rolled her eyes. I didn't pass the exam. Gonda's face turned red. He had taken the exam 3 times and failed every time. It was quite embarrassing. Xia Tao looked at him speechlessly. She wanted to make some sarcastic remarks, but this guy was quite sincere and she couldn't bring herself to do so. Are there many children in your gang? Wan Chichi asked. Quite a lot. The latest count is 108. Gonda reported the exact number, which is indeed quite a lot, and there will be more in the future. Why don't so many children set up their own school? Wan Chichi came up with an idea. Xia Tao's eyes lit up and she immediately shouted, I'll be the dean. I've finished writing the 3rd update. I'm going to have lunch. I have a meeting in the afternoon. Gon Defa was so shocked by the series of shocks that he couldn't wrap his mind around it for a while. He looked at Wan Chichi and explained sincerely, we are a gang and cannot run a school. It will corrupt the children. Then he looked at Xia Tao again, still very sincerely. You are not suitable to be the Dean of Studies, Miss Xia. Do you want to be a manager in a nightclub? He felt that with Xia Tao's natural ghostly aura, she would definitely have no problem going to a nightclub to ward off evil. He wouldn't even have to do anything. Her Yin energy would be enough to subdue those drunk and troublesome guests. Why am I not suitable? I am well-educated, well-mannered, and good at both civil and military affairs. No one is more suitable than me. Xia Tao glared at him fiercely. He actually dared to say that she was not good enough. He deserved to be humiliated. Gon Defa's mouth twitched. Of the 8 words, well-educated, well-mannered, and proficient in both civil and military affairs, he only saw the marshal in Xia Tao. Where were the others? He was even more worried that the children would be scared to death by Xia Tao, or even beaten to death. If he really opened a school, he would never let her be the Dean of Studies. He didn't even feel comfortable letting her guard the gate. Miss Xia, I don't run a school, but the nightclub is short of people. Do you want to go? Gon Defo invited him sincerely. Xia Tao snorted coldly and said grimly, If I go there, I will definitely burn your nightclub to the ground. The men and women in the nightclub are all zitches, and she would want to kill them at the first sight of them. Forget it, Miss Xia. Just pretend I never said anything. Gon Defa immediately changed his words. He had worked so hard to open the nightclub, and he couldn't let it be burned down by this evil lady. After they finished their argument, Wan Chichi said, There is no law in Hong Kong that prohibits gangs from running schools, right?
No, but
I think your values in the Rongyao gang are more positive than many people. And you don't have to teach the children. After you set up the school, you can hire teachers from famous schools to teach. The children in the gang will not be discriminated against. They can get the best resources, study hard, get into famous universities, and become lawyers, doctors, bankers, and become the best in the world. Don't you want that? Under Wan Chichi's description, Gon Defa and Aoyang's expressions gradually became dreamy, with mysterious smiles on their lips. They seemed to see the children in the gang becoming social elites one by one.
think.
The two said in unison. They want it so badly that they dream about it. Then open a school. Your gang will be responsible for security, and you can hire famous teachers for teaching. You can also recruit students from outside. The school can also make a lot of money. The education industry is a huge cake, and Rongyabang has the biggest advantage. With sufficient security forces, no one will dare to cause trouble in school, and students will not dare to act recklessly. Isn't this what parents want to see? Gondefa's eyes became brighter and brighter, and it sounded like what he said made sense. Furthermore, if the school can be run well, you'll be remembered in history. If our ancestors knew about this, they would all give you a thumbs up from the underworld. Ruan Chichi used her last big move, and Gondefa and Aoyang were completely defeated. Yes, I will go and find out the procedures for setting up a school right now. Aoyang slapped his thigh hard, full of energy. Once the school is established, his son will no longer be bullied, and his wife will no longer be ridiculed by the teacher repeatedly. By studying at home, his son might become a great doctor in the future. Thinking of the bright future, Aoyang couldn't stop smiling. He changed his usual laziness and ran out to inquire, without Gondefa's instructions. I'll pay 500,000 yuan to be the Dean of Studies. Xia Tao kept making demands and even spent a large sum of money. The 500,000 was the money she had saved by stealing here and there, looting corpses, and stealing from companies in Sakura country. Then you can't scare children, you can't hit children, and you can't teach children weird things. Gondefa really wanted to refuse, but the temptation of 500,000 was too great. He couldn't refuse, so he put forward 3 no's. What weird things did I teach? Xia Tao frowned, looking very unhappy. For example, using sheep, cows, and dogs to film a movie. Gonda blushed and spoke in an embarrassed tone. He was really afraid that Xia Tao would lead the child astray and he would be ashamed to face his ancestors. How can a child film a movie? His hair hasn't even grown yet and you're filming earthworms digging holes? You are totally heartless and inhumane. Xia Tao exploded like a lit dynamite. She jumped up and slapped Gondefa on the head. She felt relieved after just one slap, so she jumped up and slapped him several more times.
I'm talking about you.
Stop taking pictures. If you do, I'll get angry. Gondefa held his head with both hands and warned helplessly. I'm talking about you, but you insisted on taking the photo. Show me how angry you are. Xia Tao clapped a few more times, and seeing Gondefa's aggrieved look who dared not speak out, she snorted complacently, and her anger subsided. Gondefa rubbed his head, his ears buzzing. This ghost girl is really strong and agile. In fact, she is more suitable to be a physical education teacher. Although the process was a bit tortuous, it was finally decided that Xia Tao would be the Dean of Studies. Xia Tao happily paid out 500,000 yuan and immediately became a supervisor, urging Gondefa to build the school. We need to find land first. It won't be that fast. Your warehouse is quite good. Xia Tao had long had her eyes on the Rongyao gang's office building, thinking that if it were demolished, she could build a very nice school. Where are we going to work? Gonda asked. The factory where we film movies. We can work and film at the same time. How great. Xia Tao also gave some very valuable advice. It was just for filming, so there was no need for such a large space, and it would be a waste to leave it empty. Yes, Miss Xia, you're so smart. Gondefa's eyes lit up, and he was generous with his praise. I am definitely 100 times smarter than you. I've already told you that I am a man of both civil and military talents, and extremely smart. Xia Tao snorted softly, unable to conceal the pride on her face. I'll give you 500,000, too. Ruan Chichi also paid 500,000 yuan, and Gondefa's mouth was almost grinning from ear to ear. The school received 1 million before it was even built. It turns out that running a school is more profitable than running a nightclub. After receiving the money from the 2 big directors, Gondefa did not dare to be negligent and went to work without stopping. Xia Tao was also full of energy. She retreated into her room as soon as she returned to the hotel. She said that she wanted to compile the school rules and regulations, which would be used after she took office. Everyone was very busy, so Ruan Chichi and Lu Yi seemed to have some free time. Let's go to the tea restaurant for dinner. Ruan Chichi decided to go to Gon Defa's tea restaurant to meet Gon's parents. Since they could raise a wonderful person like Gon Defa, their parents must be wonderful people as well. Of course, Lu Yi had no objection. He always listened to his wife. They also brought Zai Zai, Man Zai, and Mama Jiang, and the family of 5 went to eat together. Gon GT restaurant was a bit far from the hotel, so they called a taxi and got off in front of the store. Aren't you very arrogant, old man? Why aren't you arrogant anymore? Get under my crotch and I won't smash your store. As soon as he got off the car, he heard Scar Lu's arrogant voice. He brought a dozen of his men and took advantage of Gon Defa's mother being out to go to the house and beat up Gon Defa's father. Gon's father was old and outnumbered, so he was knocked to the ground by Scar Lu's men. Scar Lu even stepped on his face, being particularly arrogant. The tea restaurant was also smashed to pieces. Father Gon was beaten black and blue, and his face was humiliated and stepped on. He looked extremely embarrassed, but he glanced up calmly and said jokingly, "You can't even watch a turtle dove, you idiot." Scar Lu, who was arrogant, immediately lowered his head upon hearing this, and sure enough, his zipper was wide open. He quickly zipped up his pants, angrily put more force on his feet, and cursed, "You old jerk, if I don't teach you a lesson, I don't even know your grandfather's last name. How dare you call him a failure? You must be fed up with living." Gon's father's face was deformed by being stepped on, but he remained calm and even said, "You fool." If he hadn't sprained his waist in the morning and the old woman hadn't gone out, how could he have been knocked down by these losers? "You old fool. You're looking for death." Scar Lu was so angry that his face was distorted. Originally, he just wanted to teach his gang a lesson and vent his anger, but it was that idiot Gon Defa who poached so many people. His gang was losing people every day. In just half a month, the gang had lost more than 30 people, which made the gang members uneasy and greatly weakened their morale. If they continue to dig like this, their gang, the largest gang in Hong Kong, will soon be surpassed by the Glory Gang and become the second largest. Whenever he thought about the future, when that fool Gon Defa would ride on his neck, he would get so angry that he wanted to kill Gon Defa. But he couldn't beat Gon Defa, and the ribs that were broken last time haven't healed yet. So he could only bring his brothers to Gon Defa's parents to vent his anger, but he didn't expect that the old guy was so stubborn, making him unable to back down. If he didn't teach the old guy a lesson, how could he establish his authority in front of his subordinates in the future? "Boy, I advise you to leave quickly, otherwise your turtle dove will be useless." Father Gon was not worried at all, and even advised Scar Lu to leave. "My wife went to buy vegetables. The vegetable market is not far away. She will be back in half an hour at most. These people are in trouble." His old lady was much more ruthless than him. "You old fool, I'm going to kill you." Scar Lu was completely enraged and kicked Gon's father in the heart with a grim smile. If kicked like this, an ordinary person would be crippled, if not killed. At this time, Wan Chi-Chi and others happened to come over and saw the scene. "Chi-Chi, yeah, there are bad guys." Man Zai frowned and prepared to go over to help. "Oh my god." Lu Yi rushed ahead, but someone was faster than him, and a white shadow whizzed past. "You use your numbers to bully the few and beat up the elderly. Darn your mother." Xia Tao's curses and the sounds of bangs and bangs could be heard from the room. Scar Lu didn't even have time to see the man's face clearly before he was kicked to the ground by Xia Tao. The 7 ribs that had not yet healed were cracked neatly again. "And by 7 get 2 free, and I got—" "You use your numbers to bully the few and beat up the elderly. Darn your mother." Xia Tao's curses and the sounds of bangs and bangs could be heard from the room. Scar Lu didn't even have time to see the man's face clearly before he was kicked to the ground by Xia Tao. The 7 ribs that had not yet healed were cracked. The henchman fainted without even a groan. Then, a hot stream shot over his face, carrying a strong fishy smell, waking him up. He opened his eyes and saw a raised dog leg. It was Mama Jiang. After peeing, Mama Jiang grinned at him and ran back to Man Zai. The henchman rolled his eyes and fainted from anger. His boss and brothers were also beaten to pieces and all fainted, except Scar Lu, who could not faint because of the pain in his chest. Father Gon got up from the ground, brushed off the dust on his body, wiped his face with a towel, and said with a smile, "Thank you very much. From now on, I will not charge you for eating in our restaurant." Gon Defa looks almost exactly like his father. The only difference is that one has white hair and the other has black hair. However, Mr. Gon always had a smile on his face and looked much kinder than his son. "Old man, here I come." A lion's roar was heard in the distance, and a huge figure rushed in, but quickly braked. It was a sturdy middle-aged woman who looked somewhat like Gon Defa. The one who came was Gon's mother. She went to buy vegetables with her neighbors. The vendors in the vegetable market were all old acquaintances. They chatted at this stall, shared some gossip at that stall, and then went to the fishmonger's stall to reminisce about the past. Each time of buying vegetables took at least an hour. "It's okay. These kids are brave enough to do what is right." Father Gon pointed at Wan Chi-Chi and the others. His tone was very relaxed, but he had one hand on his waist, and his brows were frowned. "Thank you very much. I'll give you free meals next time you visit our restaurant." As expected of a married couple, Gon's mother said exactly the same thing as Gon's father. She ran over to support Gon's father and complained, "I told you not to do it this morning, but you insisted on doing it. You have to accept your age when you are old. You still think you are young. Your old waist can't take it. My waist is fine. This was just an accident." Father Gon pleaded weakly and refused to admit his old age. Wan Chi-Chi's mouth twitched. It was rare for them to be so loving at such an old age. Gon's mother rolled her eyes and pushed him to sit on the chair. Gon's father groaned in pain and dared not say another word. "I'll go get some balm." Gon's mother hurriedly brought some activating oil, lifted up Gon's father's clothes, and revealed a bruise on his lower back. She poured some activating oil on her palms, then stood in a horse stance and gave Gon's father a vigorous massage, and did not forget to invite Wan Chi-Chi and the others to sit down. "Excuse me, I'll make you something delicious later. Don't worry, you go ahead and do your work." Wan Chi-Chi smiled.
Hiss.
"Old woman, please be gentle. Your waist is going to break. Hold on, it will be fine soon." Mother Gon roared, and Father Gon gritted his teeth in grievance and dared not say a word. Wan Chi-Chi tried hard to hold back her laughter. If she hadn't seen what was happening, she would have thought that the old couple were doing something inappropriate for children. However, it can be seen that Gon Defa not only looks like his father, but also has a personality like his father. He will definitely be a henpecked man in the future. "Whoever dares to come to our Lotus Street to cause trouble, I will not be able to bear the pain." A dozen people rushed over aggressively, each holding a variety of tools in their hands, including pig-killing knives, fish-slaughtering knives, brooms, shoulder poles, and even some carrying pumpkins and winter melons. "Amy, here I come." A tall and thin old man, wearing an apron that smelled fishy, rushed over shouting and holding a fish knife. "Fish monkey, you're always late." Father Gon snorted lightly, not appreciating it at all. This guy was his lifelong rival in love, and he still had evil intentions. It would be strange if he would be nice to him. They're here to help out of kindness, so be polite. Gon's mother glared and smiled at the old neighbors. "It's okay. I'll treat you to fish balls later." "I'm glad you're okay. I'll add more spiciness to my fish balls." "I don't want mine spicy. I want it a little spicy." The people who came to help made requests one after another, and Gon's mother smiled and said, "I know your tastes. No need to tell me." Everyone left with a smile, except Lien the fishmonger, who still wanted to get close to Gon's mother. I want some more milk tea." "Do you want to eat shoot?" Father Gon couldn't help but retort, and then got hit on the head. "I am typing at the high-speed rail station. I am so embarrassed as a person with social phobia." "Haha, no problem, I'll send it to you later." Gon's mother agreed with a smile. She and the fishmonger Lien were classmates in elementary school, and they had an even closer relationship. The fishmonger left with great satisfaction. Another woman came with a basket of vegetables, which were left by Gon's mother. When Gon's mother heard that there was trouble in the store, she was worried that her husband would suffer a loss, so she gave up the food and ran back quickly, running faster than the wind. After giving Father Gon a massage, Mother Gone finally had time to care about Scar Lu and the others. Everyone else fainted. Only Scar Lu was awake. With 9 broken ribs, he couldn't move at all. He could only watch Gon's mother approach with fear in his eyes. There are 10 tigers in Lotus Street, and this old lady ranks #1. Gangs, big and small, in Hong Kong generally coexist peacefully with Lotus Street and rarely come to cause trouble. Because the people on this street are not only good at fighting, but also very united, and the gangs are most afraid of these ruthless people. Now that he is in the hands of this tigress, Scar Lu is really scared. Don't come over here. I'm the leader of the gang. Click. Gon's mother stepped on his chest and with a little force, broke another rib. Scar Lu was sweating profusely from the pain, but he was a tough guy and didn't make a sound. Gon's mother sneered and continued to push. 3 more strands broke with a crackling sound. Then she stopped. Scar Lu was in so much pain that he regretted it so much. Knowing that these 2 old guys are not easy to deal with, why does he come to seek trouble? Let them copy the disciple rules 100 times. Father Gon called his wife to stop him, saying that if the beating continued, someone might die. Their son is now involved in a gang. The old couple should keep a low profile and not cause trouble for their son. Scar Lu's eyes went dark. It would be worse to beat him to death than to recite the Dizi Goe 100 times. The others who woke up also had sad faces. What they hated most was copying and writing, otherwise they wouldn't have become lackeys. Everyone get up and clean up the store. Gon's mother roared, and everyone didn't dare to hesitate for a second. They got up quickly and cleaned up the place very considerately. Scar Lu was the only one left, lying on the ground dying, with no one caring about him. Even, "Boss, move your hand. Boss, move your head to the left. Boss, can you lie down somewhere else?" Scar Lu was lying in the middle of the store, sprawled out. It took up a lot of space, seriously affecting the cleaning work of the younger brothers. In the end, the younger brothers simply carried it outside the store and made it lie down. Strength lies in numbers. The shop that had been smashed into a mess was quickly cleaned up. Gon's mother took out an abacus and counted the money. We smashed 6 chairs, 2 tables, 20 plates, a cabinet, and a door. The total is 28,000 yuan. The younger brothers looked at each other in bewilderment, and finally they cleverly brought Scar Lu in again so that the boss and Gon's mother could reconcile the accounts. We didn't break down the store. In front of Gon's mother, Scar Lu's momentum was seriously lacking, and even his voice was weak. If you refuse to admit your mistakes, you will be fined 2,000 or 30,000 yuan. Gon's mother dialed the dial a few times and added money with an expressionless face. Duck your mother. Scar Lu couldn't stand it and swore uncontrollably. If you are uncivilized and use bad language, you'll be fined 10,000 or 40,000 yuan. Gon's mother adjusted the abacus a few more times, and the amount of money increased faster than the bull market. Scar Lu's face turned pale. The darn old woman was too arrogant. Darn it. Although he was very unconvinced, he had to admit his mistake and paid the money obediently. I'm short of 25,000 yuan. This chain and the Wuxia card are great. I'll pay them off. Scar Lu didn't have enough cash on him, so Gon's mother stole his gold chain and a jade pendant of quite good quality. Gon's mother drove a dozen of her younger brothers to the store entrance, asked them to stand in a circle, bend over, use each other's backs as tables, and copy the rules for being a good pupil and child. Dizi Goe. Handwriting must be neat, no scribbling allowed. Copy it 100 times. Gon's mother took out paper and pen and distributed them one by one, and also collected 100 yuan for the paper and pen. A dozen thugs, bent over in agony, began to copy. They formed a unique sight at the door of the store, and all the dogs passing by would stop to take a look. Scar Lu, who was lying on the ground, was secretly delighted. Fortunately, his ribs were broken and he escaped. You come back in a month and copy it. You will be late 10 times for each day. Gon's mother walked up to him with a stern face, looking much more dignified than Gon's father. Scar Lu didn't say anything. A month later, his wounds were healed, and he ignored the old woman. But What are you doing? Stop it, old woman. Scar Lu screamed in fear and grabbed his belt with both hands, but his chest hurt terribly when he exerted the slightest force. He could only watch as Gon's mother quickly pulled off his pants. Hands off. Gon's mother had a Polaroid camera in her hand. She kicked Scar Lu's hand away, then pressed the shutter button and took pictures from all directions. She had 4 more photos in her hand, all of which were of Scar Lu. His face was full of shame, anger, helplessness, and pain, a very complicated expression. Coupled with his open window to society, the picture was very shocking to the eyes. If you don't come to copy it in a month, I'll let my son distribute your photos all over the city. Gon's mother raised the photo in her hand, gave a mocking smile, and then ignored Scar Lu, who was filled with grief and anger, and didn't even zip up his pants. Or the younger brother, who was peed on by his mom, couldn't stand it anymore, so he quietly came over to help the boss pull him up, then lay back down pretending to be dead, secretly praying that his mother didn't notice him. Gon's mother, who had already entered the store, came out again, kicked the guy pretending to be dead, and shouted, "Go copy the disciple rules." Actually a fish that slipped through the net. As I get older, my eyesight isn't as good as when I was young. Alas. After dealing with Scar Lu and his gang, Gon's mother came to greet Wan Chi-Chi and the others. "I'm sorry to have kept you waiting for so long. I'll go make something delicious." "It's okay. We are business partners with Gon Defa. Take your time, Annie," Wan Chi-Chi said with a smile. "You are friends of Fa's eye. Why didn't you say so earlier?" Gon's mother became even more enthusiastic and prepared to cook some of her specialties to entertain the distinguished guests. "I just saw the little turtle dove. I'm going to wash my eyes. Old man, you take care of the guests." Gon's mother said this. She strode to the kitchen. Gon's father jokingly asked, "How small is it?" "Much younger than you." Gon's mother answered casually and went into the kitchen, while Gon's father smiled triumphantly. Wan Chi-Chi's mouth corners were almost numb. These old couple were flirting all the time. They were really wonderful. No wonder he could raise such a wonderful son like Gon Defa. Father Gon glanced at Xia Tao from time to time, muttering in his heart that this girl was really good, who was not only good at fighting but also pretty. It was a pity that his son was involved in a gang and was not worthy of her, otherwise he really wanted to bring them together. "What are you looking at?" Xia Tao was annoyed by his gaze and yelled in annoyance. "You look so pretty, girl. Do you have a boyfriend?" Father Gon didn't think Xia Tao had a bad temper at all. Instead, he thought she had personality, so he asked with a smile. "No, men are so annoying." Xia Tao's anger disappeared in the face of Gon's father's smile, and she even started chatting with him. "There are good men too, like my son Fa's eye. He is a good man." Father Gon's face was filled with pride when he talked about his son. "Your son faints at the sight of blood, so even the wedding night will be difficult." Xia Tao told the truth. Father Gon was stunned. It took him a long time to react. He couldn't help but laugh. He leaned over and said mysteriously, "Just turn off the lights. It'll be fine if you can't see anything in the dark." "Are you dizzy too?" Xia Tao asked curiously. "Yes, my wife and I turned off the lights the first time we did it and nothing happened. Besides, maybe Fa's I will find a wife who hasn't done it before, and that would save us a lot of trouble." When talking about his first time with his wife, Father Gon's face was full of sweetness. "You don't mind?" "What's there to mind? I'm not the one looking for a wife. Besides, every carrot has its own hole. Even if the carrot is pulled out, the hole will still be there." Father Gon spoke very freely and easily, and he seemed to be shining with the light of wisdom. "Finally finished writing it. I'll see if I can finish it at midnight. If not, I'll update it tomorrow during the day." Xia Tao's expression froze. She stared blankly at Gon's father, who looked exactly like Gon Defa. Suddenly, she felt that he was not that ugly. He was even better looking than many men. "What radish? Want to eat radish and pork rib soup?" Gon's mother came out carrying a tray with 4 cups of milk tea, a few strings of fish balls, and a small plate of seasoning. Father Gon stood up and tried to help, but Mother Gon held him down and said disdainfully, "Just sit still." She placed the milk tea and fish balls on the table and said with a smile, "The milk tea in our store tastes pretty good. You can try it." And the fish balls are my specialty. This plate contains hot sauce. If you want to eat spicy food, add it yourself. Father Gon said quickly. Before my wife married me, she sold fish balls in the market. Everyone called her fish ball girl. People from 10 miles around came to buy fish balls to eat. If I'm not called Yudan Miai after I marry you, what should I call you? Xia Tao asked curiously. Mrs. Gon. Father Gon smiled very proudly, and Mother Gon glared at him and said, I'll go buy some radishes and pork ribs and make some soup for you guys later. Okay, buy more vegetables. Father Gon readily agreed, saying that the family had not been so lively for a long time. You say? Gon's mother glared, took out a red envelope from her pocket, stuffed it into the pocket of the little boy who was blowing bubbles in Manzi's arms, and said with a smile, Great luck, the boy will definitely be safe and healthy in the future, and everything will go well. Thank you, Auntie. Wan Chi-Chi did not refuse. It was the kindness of her elders. Eat quickly, just like at home. Don't be polite. Gon's mother urged them to eat with a smile, and glanced at Xia Tao from time to time, but her glances were very subtle and Xia Tao, who was immersed in eating, did not notice.
Dad.
Gon Defa's anxious shout came from afar. He had just received news that the jerk Scar Lu brought a group of people to his house to cause trouble. In the morning, his father insisted on changing the light bulb to prove that he was still as good as ever. However, he sprained his waist and was unable to move. He was definitely no match for the enemy. As soon as Gon Defa received the news, he rushed over. He had a body like a bear, but ran faster than a deer. He braked at the doorstep because he saw Scar Lu lying on the ground pitifully, and his thugs gathered in a circle around him, bending over and copying the Dizi Gui with a miserable look on their faces. From time to time, pedestrians would stop and point at them. Gon Defa let out a long sigh and did not rush into the house. Instead, he stood at the door to calm his breath. His parents had said that whether he was meeting guests or going home, he had to put his mood in order outside and not bring the negative emotions outside home or impose them on others. If you can't digest the negative emotions no matter how hard you try, you can only seek help from external forces. Go outside and find some bad guys, beat them up, and your bad mood will naturally get better. Just like his father, when he was young, he was not as kind and gentle as he is now. He had a hot temper and was very heavy-handed. If he did something wrong when he was a child, his father would beat him up. The young dad often quarreled with his mom, but he always lost the argument. Dad was so angry that he couldn't vent it at home, so he ran to the street. When he saw drunk hooligans molesting women or pickpocket stealing things, he would stand up for justice and beat those people up. Not only did I do a good thing, I also digested the negative emotions, and when I went home I could happily appease my mother. I achieved 3 goals at one stroke. Taught by his parents since childhood, Gon Defa developed a habit, and his body would do this instinctively. Fa's eyes back. Why are you running so hard and sweating? Gon's mother had sharp eyes. When she saw her son outside the door, she ran out happily and wiped the sweat off his face with a handkerchief. Her motherly love was beyond words. Are you all right? It's okay. Your friends helped you. You should thank them. Gon's mother pointed towards Xia Tao, her tone very serious. Even the smallest drop of kindness with a spring of gratitude, and we must repay the favor of saving our lives greatly. We cannot be an ungrateful jerk. I will. Gon Defa agreed. He didn't need his mother to tell him anything. He would definitely repay her. He observed his parents carefully and found that they were indeed fine. He then felt relieved and walked towards Wan Chi-Chi and the others, bowed deeply, and expressed his gratitude. It was mainly Xia Tao who contributed. Wan Chi-Chi told the truth that it was indeed Xia Tao who put in a lot of effort. Thank you, Miss Xia. Gon Defa bowed to Xia Tao, feeling very ashamed. From now on, he would never call her Miss Ghost again, either in front of her or behind her back. If he did so again, he would be punished by not being able to eat spinach for a month. Your parents said you can eat for free from now on, does that count? Xia Tao ate the fish balls with great enjoyment, and her mouth was covered with a circle of red chili sauce. It's a deal. Miss Xia, you can come and eat anytime you want. Just treat it like your own home. Gon's mother immediately responded, and her look of taking care of Xia Tao became more and more satisfied. This girl is pretty, has a straightforward personality, is not pretentious at all, has decent skills, is single, and doesn't seem to dislike her husband. She will use all her skills to cook a delicious meal and win the stomach of Miss Xia. If anyone comes to cause trouble again, I'll take responsibility. Xia Tao is not a person who likes to take advantage of others. She is prepared to take on the security work of the tea restaurant. With her around, no one will dare to cause trouble. Thank you very much. It's a pity to be familiar with you. I will call you Tao from now on, okay? Gon's mother is a social expert. After just a few words, she changed her tone from Miss Xia to a Tao, and the intimacy level increased a lot instantly.
Sure.
Xia Tao had no objection. She liked the warm and kind mother Gon very much. The fish balls and milk tea she made were delicious, and she was also very generous.
How old is Tao?
Gon's mother moved a chair, sat down next to Xia Tao, and started chatting as if they were having a casual conversation. 21. Do you have any more of these fish balls? Xia Tao finished the last fish ball on the skewer and wanted to take another one, only to find that the plate was empty. She was not full yet. Yes, Fa Zai. Gon's mother didn't get up and let her son do it. Gon Defa obediently went to the kitchen. After a while, he came out with another plate of fish balls. His cooking skills were no worse than Gon's mother's. Xia Tao tasted one, nodded with satisfaction, and looked at Gon Defa more favorably. My son Fa Zai's cooking skills are as good as his mother's. Father Gon immediately praised his son. You know nothing. Fa Zai's cooking skills are much better than mine. Gon's mother glanced at him with dissatisfaction. Yes, the disciple is better than the master. Gon's father immediately tried to make amends, and the old couple praised their son to the sky. Gonda was so embarrassed that his face turned purple. He was too embarrassed to stay outside, so he went into the kitchen to work. Take your time to eat. I'll go cook. Gon's mother dragged her husband to the kitchen and sent her son out to buy groceries. The old couple whispered in the kitchen. Don't talk nonsense in front of Tao. She must have been bullied by men before, so she is very sensitive. Think before you speak next time. If you make my daughter-in-law run away, you will sleep on the floor for the rest of your life. Gon's mother saw through Xia Tao's sensitive and lonely mind at a glance. She looked strong, but in fact she was a girl who was extremely lacking in love. As long as she cared for her sincerely, she would definitely get more in return. The most important thing is that she likes this girl. They are really compatible. When have I ever said anything nonsense? Honey, you have good taste, but our son is not worthy of her, right? Father Gon told you the truth. Xia Tao is so beautiful and capable. There is no need for her to marry a gangster. Everything depends on human effort. How can you know it won't work if you don't try? The fishmonger and I were childhood sweethearts, and he's prettier than you. Why don't you think you're not good enough for me? And why do you still pursue me so shamelessly? Gon's mother glared at him unhappily. She hated people pouring cold water on her the most. How can a fishmonger be better looking than me? He is so slow in doing things. He has no manliness at all. Father Gon was unhappy, but he only dared to complain quietly and not loudly. Gon's mother glanced at him, and he shut up obediently, touched his nose, and went out to continue chatting with Xia Tao and the others. Aram? Aji?
Away? Someone else arrived.
It was Wan Fuxing, who was as slow as his father. He started at the same time as Gon Defa, but was left far behind and only arrived now. As soon as I came over, I saw my former boss lying on the ground and miserably and a former colleague who was copying the DZ Goe pathetically. No one was paying attention to my former boss lying on the ground, so I ran over to say hello to my former colleague. Today, Wan Fuxing is dressed respectably, with a lot of hair oil on his hair, which is combed into a shiny 3:7 split. This image is increasingly in line with his traitor persona. Seeing Wan Fuxing's smug look, his former colleagues felt uncomfortable and their loyalty to the boss began to waver. Is it true that their choice was wrong? How many times do you want to copy it? 10 times? Wan Fuxing's tone was one of undisguised gloating, and he was particularly glad that he had left early. Otherwise, he would have to lie down and copy the rules for being a good pupil and child now. Everyone was silent, not wanting to bother with the villain Wan Fuxing. Although he was ignored, Wan Fuxing had one biggest advantage, which was that he was thick-skinned. If someone didn't answer him when he asked him once, he would ask again until he got an answer. His persistent and annoying skills, so 100 times. One of the thugs answered listlessly. After only copying for an hour, he changed from a bohemian thug to a world-weary and depressed student with a look of despair on his face. The other henchmen were the same. All looked lifeless. 100 times?
TSK.
You'll have to copy it forever. That's fine, but your waists will definitely be broken. You haven't passed on your family line yet, right? If your waists are broken, your family line will be cut off. Wan Fuxing's expression and tone were extremely exaggerated, and every word he said was more piercing than a knife, making these thugs so scared that they didn't even dare to die. I'm afraid that after I die I'll go to the underworld and be beaten by my ancestors. Wan Fuxing glanced at these former colleagues and was very satisfied with the effect of his stabbing. Then he changed his tone and said, "We are colleagues after all. Seeing you like this, I feel very uncomfortable. So I will give you an idea." "What's your idea?" "Tell me now, Brother Sheng." Everyone's eyes lit up and they urged him on. "You know the difference between close and distant relatives, right? We are strict with outsiders, but lenient with our own people. As long as you join our glory gang, you are our own people. We don't need to copy the rules 100 times for our own people." Wan Fuxing never forgets to poach people because in the Glory Gang, there is a bonus for poaching people calculated per person. The more people you poach, the higher the bonus. With money as motivation, everyone in the gang is like a chicken with blood, and they have poached people from all the gangs, big and small, in the city. Gon Defa was also very trustworthy and did not lose a penny of the bonus. Wan Fuxing's outfit was bought with a bonus, and he also bought a gold necklace for his father. A dozen thugs were hesitant. In the underworld, righteousness is the most important thing. The most taboo thing is to be a traitor, as it will be looked down upon by others. If you don't want to, forget it.
Just take your time copying.
I'll go talk to Aunt Gon and ask her to do it 100 more times. Wan Fuxing snorted coldly, turned around and left, leaving behind some harsh words. The lackeys were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They might not be able to finish copying the DZ Gui 200 times even if they died. They would have to continue copying after they went to the lower levels. "Wan Fuxing, you are so immoral." Someone cursed. "How funny. I'm a traitor now, so what morality can I talk about?" Wan Fuxing turned around, retorted in a very arrogant manner, and then walked into the store with a swagger. When he was a child, he liked to go to the Gon family's tea restaurant and went there almost every day. Gon's father and mother were very enthusiastic and always gave him delicious pineapple buns or pork chop buns, and this continued until he dropped out of school. He didn't like going to school, so he dropped out and became a thug. When his father and mother found out, they stopped giving him food and looked unhappy with him. He never set foot in a tea restaurant again. Until today. As soon as he entered the door, Wan Fuxing greeted everyone with a nod and a bow, and was very polite. Gon's father and mother glanced at him indifferently, with their eyes focused on Wan Fuxing's shiny head. "Son, the oil on your hair can be used to make 3 dishes. Gon's father made a joke, then actually got up and went to the kitchen, took out an empty plate and a spoon, and pretended to shoot the oil off him. Wan Fuxing hugged his head and ran away crawling. Xia Tao quietly stretched out her leg, and Wan Fuxing panicked and tripped, falling forward. But he did not fall flat on his face because he was stopped by Gon's mother. Gon's mother grabbed his collar and lifted him up with one hand, looking at him with a look of disgust. "Wash your hair clean. You are so slick and careless. Your mother would be so angry if she saw you like this in heaven." She dragged Wan Fuxing to the bathroom and tried to undress him seriously. Wan Fuxing was so scared that he tightened his belt and screamed, "I'll take it off myself." Although Gon's mother had seen him wearing open-crotch pants, he was grown up now, and he definitely couldn't let Gon's mother take advantage of him. Wash me clean, no smell. You're a grown man spraying perfume and applying so much oil. Do you want to be a man-woman? Gon's mother taught Wan Fuxing a lesson in a frustrated tone, saying that she and Wan Fuxing's mother were good sisters. But unfortunately, Wan's mother died of illness a few years ago, and the fishmonger didn't know how to raise a child. Wan Fuxing was very sensible when he was a child, and the neighbors in the music school never thought that the well-behaved Wan Fuxing would actually become a gangster. Since then, every time Wan Fuxing returned home, the way his neighbors looked at him changed from pity to contempt. In the past, people called him Sheng Zai, but now they call him Char Shu. Even his dad calls him that. After Gon's mother left, Wan Fuxing washed his hair and took a bath obediently. He washed very cleanly and came out refreshed. He was wearing Gon Defa's clothes, which were fat and long. The T-shirt covered his knees, like a nightgown. No longer greasy and powdered, looked much more pleasing to the eye. He sat down obediently in the corner, not daring to say a word. Gon Defa came back from shopping for groceries. He wanted to help in the kitchen, but was kicked out by Gon's mother. He had no choice but to go and entertain the guests. What is your educational background? Wan Chichi was very curious. Bachelor's degree in radio from Polytechnic University. Gon Defa's face showed some embarrassment. He had brought shame to his alma mater. Puff. Xia Tao was drinking milk tea and sprayed a big mouthful all over Wan Fuxing sitting opposite her. Poor Wan Fuxing wanted to get angry, but he didn't dare, so he could only go to take a shower silently. I took 2 showers in half an hour, and my skin is all scratched. Although he had a lot of complaints, Wan Fuxing only dared to murmur in a low voice. He was very timid. He quickly took a quick shower, ran out, and continued to sit in his original position, which was just convenient for him to listen to the gossip. You're a college student. How come you can't find a job? Wan Chichi sounded skeptical. The college students in the 1970s were of high quality even in Hong Kong. I've looked for several jobs, but none of them lasted more than half a year. Gon Defa replied frustratedly. So you founded the Glory Gang? Wan Chichi asked. Gon Defa nodded. It's not entirely because of looking for a job. There are other things, all of which came together, so we simply established the Rongyao Gang. My son Fa Zai is a very good boy. It's because those bad guys are too mean and always wrongly accuse Fa Zai. That's why he has no choice but to become a lackey. Father Gon's tone was indignant. He felt that his son had joined a gang, and that was something he would never be able to accept. He and his wife have only one son. They worked hard to raise him to be a college student, hoping that their son can have a decent job and not be like them, dealing with cooking fumes 365 days a year. His son was also very hardworking. He was admitted to university after only one attempt. After graduation, he went to work in a big company. He and his wife were very happy and even invited all the neighbors to dinner. However, after only 3 months, his son resigned from the company. The reason was that he colluded with outsiders to steal company property, but there was no evidence. The boss swore that his son did not look like a good person and that the company's lost property must have been stolen by his son in collusion with outsiders. The son had no way to defend himself. Although the company had no evidence, since then, his son had difficulty getting around in the company. He was always bullied by his superiors and his colleagues distanced themselves from him. His son was unhappy at work, and he and his wife saw it and persuaded his son to resign. After that, he changed several jobs, and the reasons for leaving were always similar. Whenever something bad happened in the company, he would blame it on his son. Until his last job, the company was asked for protection money by a gang leader. The boss refused to pay and wanted to discuss it with the gang leader. As a result, he ran into his son talking to the gang leader. The boss thought they were in the same group and was so angry that he started cursing and refused to listen to his son's explanation. After returning to the company, he fired his son and threatened that he would never let his son find a job in the same industry. After that, the son really didn't find a job. He went to his boss to explain, but the boss refused to see him and sent someone to tell him that he was born to be a lackey and would never be able to make a living. In fact, the reason why the son went to the gang that day was because his childhood friend Olyong happened to be a henchman in that small gang. The son asked Aoyang to introduce him to the boss to negotiate protection fees, but was misunderstood by the boss. Since then, the resumes that his son sent out have fallen into the sea, and he has never found a job. It's not that he has nothing to do, as the business in the store is good, and having a son around allows them to relax a little. But their son is a college student, and they hope that their child can go out and make a name for himself. My son thought the same way, so he was not happy during that 6 months at home. Later, due to various coincidences, the leader of the gang that Aoyang belonged to died on the street. His gang was left unattended and unable to find jobs, so his son took them to work on a construction site. However, after working for half a year, the contractor refused to pay them a penny. We worked hard for half a year, getting up early and going to bed late every day, but he refused to pay me a penny. I went to the contractor to ask for money, and he hired someone to beat me up. Fortunately, I was able to fight back, so I was not bullied. But I finally understood a truth at that time. Gon Defa slowly recounted the past events in a calm tone. What's the reason? Xia Tao asked. In this world, if you are a good person, you'll be bullied. It's not that I want to be a lackey, it's the world that forces me to do that. Gon Defa smiled bitterly. His dream when he was a child was to become a scientist. After graduating from university, he just wanted to find a stable and decent job, work hard to earn money to buy a house so that his parents would not have to work so hard every day to run the store. But the reality hit him hard. Just because he looked like a bad guy, he was identified as a bad guy. All the dirt and smells were thrown at him, and no one believed him. He took his former henchman to work at the construction site, earning money with his own hands, and was still bullied by the contractor. Although he couldn't get paid, he wouldn't starve to death after all. His family ran a tea restaurant and he didn't need any food or drink. But Aoyang and the others are different. They all rely on these wages to support their families. Not paying them is tantamount to forcing them to die. In desperation, he could only return to his old business with these men, set up the Glory Gang, and then went to the contractor's house. Without even asking, the contractor honestly took out the money and gave extra compensation. Since then, there has been no looking back. All he could do was to try his best to restrain his brothers in the gang, not to kill innocent people, not to sell flour, and not to force women of good families into prostitution. Others called him a fool, but only by doing this could he feel better. Father Gon sighed and looked at his son with a look of particular distress. Only he and his wife knew that even though their son was now a gang leader, he was not happy. Actually, in my opinion, your Rongyao gang is more like a company. Don't you consider registering a company? Wan Chichi asked with a smile. To put it bluntly, the values of Honor Gang are more positive than those of many other companies. Gangs can also register companies? Gon Defa's eyes lit up. If schools can do it, why can't companies? Film and television companies and media companies can all register. Wan Chichi had her own selfish motives when she said this. If Rong Yao helped start a company, she could get shares by investing, and she would be able to get a lot of money in the future. Gon Defa's eyes brightened even more. It is true that listening to your words is worth more than reading for 10 years. Fa Zai, you want to open a school? Father Gon asked impatiently, his eyes brighter than his son's. There are more and more children in the gang, and it's troublesome to send them to school. Mrs. Wan suggested that I open a school directly. She and Miss Xia have both invested money, and Miss Xia will be the director of studies in the future. Gon Defa answered honestly, just like a good child. I'm already writing the school rules. Xia Tao raised her chin proudly. The school rules she compiled were absolutely unique in the world. Any child who abided by her school rules would definitely become successful. The school rules compiled by a Tao must be excellent. Fa Zai, who is the principal of your school? Father Gon was generous with his praise, and Xia Tao enjoyed it very much. She also felt that she was good at whatever she did, and that Father Gon Defa had a good eye. Gon Defa hesitated. He had not yet decided who to make the principal. The principal is naturally your son. He is the only one who can control the teachers and students. Wan Chichi said with a smile. She could see that Gon Defa's parents had taken a liking to Xia Tao, the crazy woman, and were determined to bring them together. The family style and atmosphere of the Gon family are really good. The old couple are both open-minded and free-spirited people. They will definitely not mind Xia Tao's past experiences. The most important thing is that apart from looking fierce, there is really nothing wrong with Gondefa. He is a good man as broad as the sea, and is very suitable for Xia Tao's crazy personality. Gondefa smiled embarrassedly. He felt that he was not capable of shouldering the heavy responsibility of being the principal. However, what Mrs. Ruan said was right. He was indeed the only one in the gang who was more suitable. I'm not exaggerating, but there's absolutely no problem for my son Fa Zai to be a principal. He has loved studying since he was young, and has never given us any worries. If it weren't for those bad guys, Fa Zai would definitely be an engineer now. Father Gon slapped his thigh hard, praised his son happily, and ran excitedly to the kitchen, bringing out a jar of medicinal wine. The jar is made of transparent glass, and you can clearly see a snake coiled inside, as if it were alive. There are also other precious medicinal herbs in the wine. This jar of wine is not cheap. I drink this at night. I've been making it for 2 years. It's very nutritious. Father Gon even winked at Lu Yi mysteriously, and the man understood immediately. Then I'll drink a few more cups.
Lu Yi similet.
As much as you can. Those who have wives can drink without worries. Father Gon patted the altar generously. He was particularly happy today. His son would be the principal in the future. He could even hold his back straight when he burned incense to all his ancestors. Mother Gon showed off her cooking skills and cooked a table full of dishes, all of which were her specialties. Father Gon also took out his precious wine and entertained them warmly. Especially Xia Tao's bowl, there was never a lack of food. Gon's mother kept picking up food for her. Xia Tao never refused and ate as much as she was given. Her good appetite made Gon's mother even happier. Being able to eat means you are in good health, which is a blessing. The room was bustling with cups and glasses. The thugs outside were hungry and tired, their backs ached, and their fingers were covered with blisters. The saddest thing was that they were so tired but didn't steal much. That jerk Wan Fusheng was right. It would take them forever to copy it 100 times, and their waists would definitely be broken. Pitiful henchmen glanced at Scar Lu lying on the ground. Their boss couldn't protect himself now, and couldn't be relied on at all. They had better rely on themselves. How about going to the Glory Gang? One of the henchmen raised the issue cautiously, and in less than a second, he received a response from the other henchman.
Go.
The henchmen all stood up, and a dozen of them exchanged firm glances. It was shameful for one person to be a traitor, but if a group of people were traitors, it wouldn't be a big deal. Besides, since everyone has become a traitor, shouldn't this be a gang issue? The henchmen walked to the door hesitantly, pushed it open a little, poked their heads in, and asked in a low voice, "Brother Gon, we want to overthrow the Qing dynasty and restore the Ming dynasty. You, jerk, have turned from evil to good." Behind him was so angry that he pushed the man away, saying that he was an uneducated person and couldn't even speak clearly. Want to join the Glory Gang? Gondefa asked them into the house, and asked seriously. Yes, we must abandon the dark and join the Glory Gang, and listen to Brother Gon from now on. A dozen men spoke in unison, their voices becoming increasingly firm. To become a member of the Glory Gang, you must do 3 things. If you fail to do so, you will be severely punished and your previous salary will be taken back. Gondefa emphasized the 3 no's of the gang, and his gang members agreed, without hesitation. Who would want to fight and kill when they can live a stable life? Then let's eat first, and then copy the disciple rules after eating. Gondefa asked them to go to the kitchen to get the rice. In fact, Gon's mother had cooked their rice from the beginning. They were all young people who had gone astray. Gon's mother did not hate them, but just felt sad for their parents. Didn't they say that our own people don't need to copy? The henchmen were dumbfounded. They were all their own people. Why did they still need to copy? Had wanted to step forward to receive his bonus, immediately shrank back after hearing this, buried his head in his food, and dared not say a word. 50 times, finished within a month. Gondefa still reduced the sentence by half, but the punishment could not be less. He must be punished for using his numbers to bully the few and for beating the elderly. The thugs had no choice but to accept it. After all, they didn't dare to resist. They went to get the food and started to eat it voraciously. Delicious. Tastes like mom's. One of the thugs shed tears while eating, choking with his rice, and said, I miss my mom. He lost his mother when he was young, and his good life stopped after his stepmother came into the family. He even lost his bed at home. He was forced to join a gang and had to eat casually for every meal, rarely having home-cooked meals like this. Cooked by Gon's mother really tasted like his mother's. Mazai ate while crying and swallowed his tears along with the food. If your mother knew you were such a loser now, she would open her coffin and crawl out to beat you up. Gon's mother went to the kitchen and got a large pot of food, came over and put it on the table, and scolded him in a bad mood. The thugs didn't dare to say a word. After Gon's mother left, they all reached into the basin with their chopsticks. Soon, the big basin of food was finished, and the big pot of rice in the kitchen was also eaten clean. Hiccup, everyone burped with contentment. It was such a delicious meal. Wan Fusheng touched his round belly. He had just drunk a glass of medicinal wine. Wine makes one brave. Now he was brave enough to challenge the former boss Scar Lu. Wan Fusheng, who was so bold as to be a dog, took advantage of the alcohol and shouted, Brother Gon, I recruited them all. Don't forget the bonus. Brother Gon, is there a bonus for turning from evil to good? New recruits asked even louder. They didn't want Wan Fusheng to make any money at all. Yes, 500 yuan per person. Gandefa replied. Brother Gon, we are turning from darkness to light, and it has nothing to do with Wan Fusheng. Everyone said in unison and looked at Wan Fusheng smugly, deciding not to let this jerk make any money. Tomorrow, go to the gang to find Brother Liang to report and collect your money. You must abide by the gang rules from now on. Recite the disciple rules 50 times, without missing a single word. The handwriting must be neat. Copy it within a month and bring it to the store for inspection. Gon Defa's tone was very serious, and his men did not dare to disobey and agreed obediently. Moreover, they can get 500 yuan just by joining the Glory Gang. This treatment is much better than following Scar Lu Chang. They might as well give up the dark and join a light as soon as possible. After the thugs had eaten and drunk their fill, they said goodbye to the Gon family. After walking out of the store, they hesitated for a few seconds and finally went to say goodbye to their former boss. Boss, this is the last time I'll call you boss. From now on, we'll just be strangers. Scar Lu, who was hungry and in pain, was in a daze and was awakened by the words of his former subordinates. When he heard these familiar words, he knew what had happened. Gon Defa must have poached him again. You're going to betray me too? Scar Lu's voice was hoarse, and his eyes were sad. Boss, you on your own. Former subordinates also felt sorry for him, so they wiped their tears and left resolutely. Wan Fusheng sneaked out without even looking at Scar Lu on the ground. He chased after them, stopped his former colleagues, and angrily scolded them. Do you still have any sense of morality? It was obviously me who introduced you to the Rongyao gang. I got half of the bonus. Give me the money. We are all traitors. What morality is there to talk about? A dozen thugs sneered, and without saying a word, they pushed Wan Fusheng to the ground, punched him a few times, and then walked away. After I report to the gang tomorrow, they won't be able to do anything to me, so I'd better beat them up as soon as possible to vent my anger. Wan Fusheng got up from the ground, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, patted the dust off his body, and spat at the ground in annoyance. Duck your mother. After cursing, he limped home. The sky gradually darkened. Scar Lu felt pain, tired, and thirsty. He cried out a few times, but no one paid attention to him. He was so angry that he yelled, Even if I'm going to the guillotine, I have to give me a full meal. Gon Defa, you King kid, bring me some food. I don't kill people. Gon Defa walked over and looked down at him. Scar Lu was overjoyed. The fool was indeed a fool. Even at this time, he still spared his life. If it were him, he would never leave any chance for his opponent to survive.
Eat it.
Gon Defa brought a bowl of rice, and threw it in front of Scarlu. The food was a little cold. He had reserved it for him in advance. Scarlu couldn't get up, but that didn't stop him from eating. He scooped a big spoonful of food with one hand and stuffed it into his mouth. His body was covered with food, but at least his stomach was filled. After the meal, Gondefa called the gang, and Alyang brought a few brothers and drove over. They carried Scarlu into the car and prepared to send him to the factory in the south of the city. "Where are you taking me?" Scarlu seemed to realize that something was wrong and screamed in panic. "Don't be afraid. We are preparing a new movie and are in need of actors. We can start filming once your bones have grown back." Alyang spoke in a very happy tone. The movie was very profitable, and it was a no-cost business. Scarlu's role was much bigger than Chen Xiong's. If he and Chen Xiong were to shoot the movie together, the box office would definitely surpass the first one. "I don't make movies. Gondefa, get out of here. I'm going to fight you one-on-one. I swear to death that I will never make a movie," Scarlu screamed at the top of his lungs. He didn't want to become a famous adult star in Hong Kong like Chen Xiong. Gondefa was too despicable and shameless. His voice became farther and farther away, and then disappeared, because Alyang thought he was noisy and stuffed a smelly sock into his mouth. "What the heck are you, a loser?
Just do it if I tell you to.
As long as the movie sells well, you'll have a good life. Otherwise, you'll just have to be a gigolo." Alyang advised that making movies was easier than being a gigolo. "Woo-woo. Duck your mother." Scarlu glared at him resentfully. He couldn't utter a word, but he could feel that he was cursing very dirty. Alyang no longer cared about him and sent him to the factory, where he was detained separately from Chen Xiong. After his injuries healed, he could start filming. Wan Chichi said goodbye to the Gon family and took a taxi back to the hotel. When they arrived at the hotel, they found that Xia Tao did not follow them, and they didn't pay any attention to her. This crazy woman was always elusive, and almost no one in Hong Kong could hurt her anyway. Xia Tao went back halfway and pulled out Gondefa, who was about to go to bed. "You didn't retaliate?" she asked coldly, crossing her arms across her chest. No, Gondefa understood and answered honestly. "They bullied you like that, and you didn't retaliate? You're so useless." Xia Tao glared at him in disappointment. If it were her, she would have killed those people long ago. "It's been a long time, and I'm doing well now, don't worry about it." Gondefa really felt that it was unnecessary. He was not a narrow-minded person, and he was living a good life now, so there was no need to dwell on the past. "You say I'm fussy?" Xia Tao's voice became even colder, and she squinted at him with murderous intent.
No.
"No, I was talking about myself. Miss Xia, you are open-minded and generous." Gondefa felt a chill on his back and quickly said something nice. "Humph, men's mouths are deceitful. I am obviously narrow-minded and petty, but you say these things against your conscience. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning?" Xia Tao glared with a sneer. Those stupid women were fooled by such sweet words, but she would not be fooled. "Miss Xia, the fact that there is no thunder and lightning means that what I said is true. You are a kind-hearted person. Don't be too self-deprecating." Gondefa smiled. After spending a long time with her, he could tell that Xia Tao's ferocity was just an act. In fact, she was a good person who was eager to help others and hated evil. Xia Tao was stunned for a few seconds, glared at him unhappily, then turned and left. After walking a few steps, she turned around and shouted, "Why don't you catch up?" "What?" Gondefa followed him and asked. He was about to go to bed. "Go settle accounts with those people. Those who do bad things must be punished, otherwise they will continue to do evil. You think you are magnanimous, but in fact you are condoning the bad guys to do evil," Xia Tao said as they walked. Gonda was stunned, but his heart was not at peace. Xia Tao was right. His self-righteous magnanimity was actually condoning evil. Those who slandered and bullied him might have bullied other people over the years. He became an accomplice. "I was wrong. Thank you for your teaching." Gondefa sincerely admitted his mistake. His parents taught him since he was a child that if he was wrong, he must admit it and correct it. This is a man's responsibility. Xia Tao snorted complacently and let Gon Defa lead the way to settle accounts with the boss of the first company. The boss has been very successful in recent years. Not only did he get promoted, he also bought a house and lived a much better life than Gon Defa. When they arrived, their boss was making love with his young wife. Gonda was too embarrassed to look up. Xia Tao walked into the bedroom as if nothing had happened, knocked the young wife unconscious with a slap, then pushed her away and grabbed up the boss who had his eyes closed. "Let me do it." Gon Defa came over quickly. He felt it was inappropriate that his boss was not wearing any clothes. "I've seen a lot of little earthworms. What's so strange about them?" Xia Tao snorted coldly. She had seen more small earthworms than the sea cucumbers that Gon Defa had eaten. The boss recognized Gon Defa at a glance and was about to curse, but the curse was stuck in his throat because Xia Tao had a gleaming dagger in her hand and cut towards his vitals, stopping when there was still 1 centimeter away. So high, rolled his eyes and fainted. Xia Tao calmly poured a glass of cold water on him and soon woke up. This time, she didn't need to say anything, as her boss confessed. "I'm sorry, I asked someone to steal those cables. I slandered you. I'm sorry." Gon Defa looked incredulous. He thought his boss simply disliked him, but he didn't expect it was the thief crying, "Stop thief." He was now glad that he listened to Xia Tao, otherwise he would never know the truth in his life. "How many times did you steal? How much did you sell it for?" Gonda asked sternly. Under the threat of Xia Tao's dagger, the boss confessed everything, and the amount was not small, otherwise he would not be able to afford the house. "Turn yourself in tomorrow, or you'll be extinct." The dagger in Xia Tao's hand made a beautiful knife flower, and then she inserted it fiercely into the bed, right between her boss's legs. Just a little bit more, and his treasure would be cut. The boss nodded with tears in his eyes. He was really scared. This woman was crazy. If he didn't turn himself in, he was afraid that she would really make him a father-in-law. Then career. That night, they visited several companies, and all those who had bullied Gon Defa received the lessons they deserved, especially the boss who banned Gon Defa in the industry. Xia Tao did not go directly to the person involved, but found the company's finance department, obtained evidence that the company had falsified accounts and evaded taxes, and reported it the next day. If nothing unexpected happens, this company will definitely go bankrupt. Be more careful in the future, and don't be so silly all the time. Xia Tao patted Gon Defa, as shoulder hard, and lectured him with disgust. If it wasn't for her desire to thank Gon's father and mother for their warm hospitality, she wouldn't care about this trivial matter. It was dawn when Gon Defa returned home. As soon as he entered the house, he was surrounded by his parents. "Why are you back so early? Son, you're not capable. I used to work until dawn." Father Gon looked at his son with disdain and prepared to nourish his son's body. "Stop bragging." Gon's mother pushed her husband aside and asked with concern, "Fazai, have you been too busy recently? I will make you a tonic soup tomorrow. If a man can't do this, he will be disliked by women." Gon Defa was confused at first, but he finally understood what was said and blushed. "Miss Xia and I went out to do serious things. Don't let your imagination run wild, and don't talk nonsense." He yelled in anger. "My parents are good in every way except that they like to overthink things. They can turn a tiny clue into an 80-episode TV series. Yes, 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 you must be doing serious work, son. Go to bed quickly and drink tonic soup tomorrow." Gon's mother pushed her son to bed with a smile on her face, planning to buy some whips in the morning to nourish her son. Dating is definitely a serious matter, and she fully supports it. The third update is finished. Good night, time flies. Wan Chi-Chi and his friends have been in Hong Kong for almost 2 months. It is the New Year's Eve of 1974. The streets and alleys in the city are full of the festive atmosphere. According to the traditional customs of the Chinese people, no matter how rich or poor one is, everyone has to celebrate the New Year with their family. Originally, they were only given 2 months and had to go back to report on their work before the end of the year. However, since they exceeded their foreign exchange target of more than $10 million, their superiors were very satisfied and tacitly allowed them to stay in Hong Kong for a longer time. It just so happened that the issues concerning Chiu, Su, and Ju's families had not been resolved yet, so Wan Chichi decided to stay in Hong Kong to celebrate the New Year and experience the New Year customs here. February 2nd is New Year's Eve, and there is still more than half a month before the Chinese New Year. Chiu, Su, and Ju's families sent messages saying that they wanted to spend one last year together with their families, and Wan Chichi agreed. She was not afraid of these three families playing tricks on her. No matter where they escaped to, she would be able to find them. Some time ago, Wan Chichi bought a villa in mid-levels. The previous landlord was an American and a senior government official. He suddenly resigned and left Hong Kong without even saying goodbye. The house he left behind was sold by his lover. The young lover took the money from selling the house and ran away with her new macho lover. Wan Chichi was quite satisfied with the house, and it did not require any major modifications. She could move in after some minor changes. The most important thing was that the price was very cheap. The lover was eager to sell it, so he asked for a price far below the market price. The reason why other people didn't dare to buy it was that they were afraid that the senior U.S. official would come back and take the house back, so even if it was sold at a very low price, no one dared to take it over, otherwise it would not be Wan Chichi's turn. She asked Gondefa to call some craftsmen to make some minor modifications to the villa, replace the bed and sofa, and hire someone to clean the entire house so that they could move in. Wan Chichi also advised Xia Tao to buy some real estate and shops, but she was not happy about it. What's the point of buying a big house? When you die, you'll just be a small box. Xia Tao is very open-minded. She lives for the moment. When she has money, she spends it. When she has no money, she goes to rich people to borrow it. Anyway, she will never be short of money. You are still alive now, you can't live in a small box, right? Wan Chichi advised in a gentle voice. Maybe he'll die someday. Xia Tao shrugged her shoulders. She had long since become indifferent to life and death, and continued to compile her school rules. Wan Chichi rolled her eyes and didn't bother to persuade her anymore. She went over to see what the school rules were like. This crazy woman's handwriting is very beautiful, with at least 10 years of practice in regular script. She saw the first one. If your parents love you, you must respect and be filial to them. If your parents don't love you, please tell the school. Tell the school what? Wan Chichi asked curiously. She was really a little surprised that Xia Tao would make this the first rule of the school. I will help them fight for custody, and the school will be in charge of the children from now on. Xia Tao spoke murderously, saying that some parents were not worthy of being parents at all, and she would not let these people harm her children. You surrender custody obediently. You may be spared. If you refuse, you will die. You are overstepping your authority by doing this. Those children may not be grateful to you, and may even resent you. Wan Chichi advised. Household affairs are the most difficult to manage. If Xia Tao does this, it is very likely that the gains will outweigh the losses, and she will also receive a lot of complaints. She is not afraid that Xia Tao will be hurt, but she is mainly afraid that this crazy woman will be too stimulated and become even more crazy. I don't care whether they hate me or not, as long as I am happy. Xia Tao snorted coldly. She didn't think about asking those children to be grateful or repay her. She was just doing something that made herself happy. Wan Chichi stopped trying to persuade him and continued to read the second one. No sleeping before the age of 18, no matter whether it is for men or women, women or women. The first time you violate the ban, you will be caned 20 times in public by the whole school. The second time, you will be caned 50 times in public by the whole school. The third time, you will be expelled. Wan Chichi twitched her lips and continued to read the third one. Students can wear earrings, dye their hair, and put on makeup, but they must maintain their grades, otherwise they will have their heads shaved in public. Article 4. Don't waste food. If you see someone throwing food around, you must pick it up and eat it no matter where it is thrown. Wan Chichi looked at a few of them, which were basically about regulations on student character, such as being filial to parents, keeping oneself clean, being diligent and thrifty, etc. Although the school rules formulated by Xia Tao were a bit murderous, they were still very practical. Director Xia, take your time to edit it. patted her shoulder gently, and left with a smile. Xia Tao bit the tip of her pen and continued to rack her brains to think about the school rules. The phone rang, and it was Gondefa who called. "Mrs. Ruan, the sanitation of your new house has been completed, and the furniture has been moved in. You can move in any time." "Thanks." Ruan Chichi thanked him and said that the decoration and cleaning of the house were all done by Gondefa. "You're welcome. I have one more thing to tell you. The second season of the movie is very popular at the box office, even better than the first season. The overseas broadcasting rights have also been sold. Together with the dividends from the first movie, you have a total of 900,000. Can I send it to you later?" "Okay. Thank you for your hard work." "It's not hard." Gondefa spoke sincerely. The movie did well at the box office, and their Glory Gang also made a lot of money, which solved the gang's financial difficulties. He was particularly grateful to Mrs. Ruan. An hour later, Gondefa came over with a few cups of milk tea and a dozen skewers of fish balls, all coated with thick spicy sauce. Just looking at them made me salivate. "My mother asked me to bring this, along with this pork trotter with ginger. My mother specially stewed it for Madame Ruan and Miss Xia. She said that eating this is very nutritious for women." Gondefa took a lot of things and placed them on the table one by one. Xia Tao, who smelled the fragrance, rushed out quickly and took the fish balls and started to eat them without hesitation. She liked the food cooked by Gon's mother the most. She liked every kind of it. She also liked Gon's father's open-mindedness and humor. She even wanted to take over Gon's family, kick Gondefa out, and live in Gon's house. "This is 900,000. Gondefa did not take cash this time, but wrote a check. Ruan Chichi accepted it. The audience's response was very enthusiastic, and they urged for a third part. I thought that after Scarlu's injury healed, I would have him and Chen Mayer film together, which should be a big selling point. Gondefa embarrassedly expressed his thoughts. Chen Mayer was the male lead in both the first and second films, and he was worried that the audience would get tired of it, so he wanted to add some fresh flavors. "How long will it take for Scarlu's injury to heal?" Ruan Chichi asked. "It will take another half a month, until after the new year. Don't worry, give it a stage name first, and then shoot after the new year." Ruan Chichi gave the task of choosing a stage name to Gondefa, who had a talent for naming. "How is Lu Jiechi?" Gondefa was well prepared. Scarlu's original name was Lu Jiawang, but he changed his name to Lu Jiechi. "Okay, that's the name." Ruan Chichi had no objection. The name was not important. The key was the actors. Scarlu and Qin Xiong, the two former gang leaders, had transformed into adult stars and would definitely attract the audience's attention. "How is the school going?" Xia Tao was chewing on a pig's trotter while urging the school to make progress. "It has already been pushed forward. We didn't even take a break during the Chinese New Year. We worked overtime to rush the project. It will probably be finished in the spring, and we will be able to enroll students in the second half of the year." Gondefa reported the progress. There were already many men in his gang who had worked on the construction site before. Besides, since it was a school being built for their own children, these men volunteered to supervise the construction, so there was no need to worry about the quality and progress. The most important thing for running a school is the enrollment rate. As long as the enrollment rate is guaranteed, there is no need to worry about the source of students. You will definitely not make money in the early stage, so be prepared to lose money for 3 years. Ruan Chichi first gave a warning that school is a long-term investment and one cannot just think about making money from the beginning. Moreover, education must be based on conscience. While making money, we must also ensure the quality of teachers. We cannot abandon our conscience for the sake of making money. It doesn't matter if we don't make money, as long as the children in the gang can go to school. Gondefa never thought about making money. The purpose of agreeing to run a school was to ensure that the 108 children in the gang could go to school. You have to make money. I don't do business at a loss. You can do this in the second half of the year. Find students with poor families and excellent grades, promise not to charge tuition, and guarantee to give them scholarships every semester. For these children from ordinary families with good grades, the school must ensure that they have a quiet learning environment to improve the school's admission rate. Second, recruit problem children from wealthy families. These parents have money, they just want their children to learn well. You can ask them for a higher price, 100,000 yuan per semester, and sign a military order to guarantee that within 3 years, the children will turn over a new leaf. Ruan Qiqi took a sip of tea and continued, as long as these 2 points are done well, the school will definitely have no problem with the source of students, and parents will take the initiative to send their children here. Mrs. Ruan, we are a gang, and we don't know how to teach children. Gonda expressed his embarrassment. It was no problem for him to manage his men, but he was really not good at educating children. I can. Xia Tao raised her hand. She is really good at teaching children. If you don't obey, beat me until you obey. Miss Xia, you don't want to hit the child, do you? Gondefa couldn't help asking. Have you ever heard that beating a stick can make a good son? Our ancestors must be right. Children who don't learn well must be beaten, but it's okay as long as they are not beaten to death. Xia Tao snorted coldly. Corporal punishment is the most effective way of education. Children have different personalities. Some will listen after being beaten, while others will become more rebellious the more they are beaten. For example, some of the gang members in my gang would not obey even if they were beaten to death. Instead, they obeyed after a heart-to-heart talk. It depends on the individual. Gondefa patiently explained to her that not all children are suitable for corporal punishment. Then I'll be in charge of the beating, and you'll be in charge of the conversation. Xia Tao replied without thinking, and used chopsticks to pick the ginger from the pig's feet in the basin. Seeing this, Ruan Qiqi smiled and said, I don't like this. You can eat it all. This is the tonic that Gon's mother gave to her future daughter-in-law, and she was embarrassed to eat it. Besides, she really doesn't like to eat this. She basically doesn't like sweet and sour dishes. Xia Tao didn't hesitate at all. She took a large bowl of pork trotters with ginger and went into the house to eat. Editing school rules was too tiring, so she ate pork trotters to replenish her body. Gondefa sat for a while and then left in a hurry. The Glory Gang now had a lot of affairs to deal with, and as the leader of the gang, he was very busy every day. He also left the key to the new house, so Ruan Qiqi decided to move in the next day. Their luggage was simple, and they just called 2 taxis to get it all done. The new home has a very good environment and is not small in size. There is a lawn in the front and a garden in the back. It is considered a super luxury home in Hong Kong. With them, they also moved in with a stove that burned particularly vigorously. This was the custom in Ruan Qiqi's hometown. Moving into a new house was called going over the fire. Bringing a stove that burned particularly vigorously with them meant that the future would be prosperous. Ruan Qiqi and Lu Yi went to chat with their friends. Then they all got good news. The 2 men walked to the Roman columns in front of the gate and looked around. Is there really a huge amount of money in here? In the garden and the water in the pond all say that there is a huge sum of money in this Roman column, hidden by the previous landlord. The exact amount is unknown, but it must be a lot. It was getting dark, and Ruan Qiqi and Lu Yi went to pry the Roman column. They knocked it up and down a few times and found the right place to pry. After a while, they saw a stack of banknotes. They were all new banknotes that had just been withdrawn from the bank, without even the seals removed. The entire Roman column was filled up, a total of 5 million, piled on the ground like a small mountain. Brand new banknotes shine charmingly under the moonlight. This villa cost just over 1 million yuan, and the money from this Roman column not only earned back the money spent on the house, but more. Sleep. Ruan Qiqi took the money calmly. It was only 5 million. She had seen big scenes before, so it was not surprising. This money must have been the stolen money of the previous landlord. No wonder he ran away without saying a word. No wonder no one dared to buy this house. Even if the previous landlord did not come back to get the money, the ICAC would not let it go. Ruan Qiqi did not intend to give the money to the Independent Commission Against Corruption, but to use it to invest in the Rongyao Gang's company. On the 3rd day after they moved into their new home, they received a call from Jing Tao. Mrs. Ruan, Shi Hongmei and the others have recovered. How do you plan to accommodate them? Ruan Qiqi slapped his forehead. He had been busy filming movies recently and had forgotten about these poor women. If I don't resettle them, Will they be sent back to the inland? Yes, there are too many of them. We can't accommodate them all in Hong Kong. They will definitely be sent back. Jing Tao answered truthfully. He also added, if Mrs. Yuan is able to accommodate them, that would be the best. If they are sent back, I'm afraid there will be no good results. Yuan Chichi thought for a moment and asked, if I set up a factory and employ these people as workers, can the Hong Kong government resolve their identities? If Madame Yuan can really run a factory, I will take care of the identity. I will take care of it. Jing Tao's tone was very firm. The factory won't be ready for a while. Ask them if they want to work on the construction site. It's hard work, but the wages are paid daily. Yuan Chichi thought of the construction site. It was the end of the year, and it was hard to find workers. If Shi Hongmei and the others were willing to work, it would solve the manpower problem. Half an hour later, Shi Hongmei called in person, her tone very excited. Mrs. Yuan, we are willing to work on the construction site. We work in the fields every day at home and cut bamboo in the mountains. It is much harder than working on the construction site. It doesn't matter if we don't get paid, as long as we have something to eat. I will definitely get a salary and enough food to eat. I will come here now. Yuan Chichi hung up the phone and went straight to the hospital. After a few days of recuperation, Shi Hongmei and her gang looked very good, much better than before. As soon as they saw her, they knelt down and kowtowed. Get up. Working on the construction site is hard and not a good job. You must be prepared to endure the hardship. Yuan Chichi said something ugly first. We are not afraid of hard work as long as we earn clean money. Everyone said in unison. Their eyes were extremely determined. Okay, I'll take you to the construction site. Yuan Chichi and Jing Tao completed the handover and called Gondefa, asking him to drive a minibus to pick people up. She and Shi Hongmei and a group of people were standing at the hospital entrance waiting. People were coming and going at the entrance, some were seeing a doctor, and some were vendors trying to sell their products. There was a girl carrying a basket covered with a piece of clean gauze and hawking her wares along the street. Madam, would you like to buy some white sugar cake? It's soft, sweet, and delicious. 5 cents apiece. Sir, would you like some sugar cake? The girl's Cantonese was not very standard. She enthusiastically sold her products to passers-by and slowly walked towards Yuan Chichi and the others. Madam, Sister Hong? Are you Sister Hong? The girl suddenly cried out in surprise. You've got the wrong person. I don't know you, and you're not Sister Hong. Was mistaken for Sister Hong turned around in panic and denied it flatly. She was the girl who fell down the wall and was rescued by Yuan Chichi and others. Her name was 29. Sister Hong, I'm Ah Xiang. I came here specially to see you. Why are you so thin? Are you sick? The girl was anxious and worried. Sister Hong in front of her looked dull and lifeless. Where was the bright and lively girl like she was back home? Sister Hong's eyes turned red, but she still didn't want to recognize her. She was now neither human nor ghost, and she had no face to face her former good sister. Yuan Chichi recognized the girl named Xiang, who was one of the girls who came on the same boat with them that day. Do you remember me? Yuan Chichi asked with a smile. Ah Xiang turned her head and recognized her at a glance. She said happily, Sister, of course I recognize you. Do you know Sister Hong? Yes, I didn't expect that the Sister Hong you were talking about was her. How are you now? Yuan Chichi did not mention Sister Hong's past and simply passed it over, then asked about the girl's experiences in the past few days. Ah Xiang's face faded, and her eyes were filled with sadness, but she forced a smile and said, It's fine. I moved out from my cousin Ajin's house, rented a house, and sold white sugar cakes every day. I can make a living. What about the others? Ajin married her cousin's eldest uncle, and Aju also married someone from the same village. Ame, Ayu, and I moved out, but later they all separated from me. I live alone now. Ah Xiang spoke simply, but one could tell that a lot must have happened to these 5 girls. Why didn't you come to the hotel to see me? Yuan Chichi asked. It was obvious that Ah Xiang was not doing well, as she had given the girl the hotel address before. I'm doing okay now. I don't want to trouble you, sister. Please have some white sugar cake. I made it myself. It's very clean. Ah Xiang lifted the gauze, revealing the soft and glutinous white sugar cake. Next to it was a piece of cut paper used to wrap the white sugar cake. Wan Qiqi took a piece and ate it. It tasted really good. She smiled and praised. Your cooking skills are very good. My mom's white sugar cake is delicious. I only learned half of her skills. Sister Hong, you can eat it too. You used to like my mom's white sugar cake the most. Ah Xiang warmly invited Sister Hong and others to eat. Sister Hong could no longer pretend and covered her face and cried. Sister Hong, I'm here now. No matter how hard or difficult it is in the future, we will bear it together. Don't be afraid. Ah Xiang hugged Sister Hong and cried. When she felt that her back was full of bones, she cried even more sadly. You shouldn't have come here. What are you doing here? Sister Hong was very upset. She shouldn't have only reported good news and not bad news in the letter to her hometown for the sake of face, which caused her sister, A Xiang, to come here as well. They used to think that Hong Kong was full of gold, and they could make money as long as they were willing to work hard. But when she got here, she realized that this was a man-eating den. She saw with her own eyes so many sisters being eaten alive by this den, leaving only a pile of bones. If I don't come, I will be sold to a fool in exchange for a dowry. Sister Hong, it's going to be hardship anyway, so I might as well come here and suffer. At least I can control my own destiny. Ah Xiang's eyes were determined. She did not regret coming here. Although life was hard, she had a bright future. She had saved up 200 yuan by selling sugar cakes for only 1 month. She also planned to rent a bigger house and get a car after saving more money and sell snacks at night. She would definitely be able to earn more, and maybe she could even buy a small house here and settle down. Sister Hong sighed, and tears flowed down her face again. Why were the lives of all of them sisters so miserable? Gone Defa's minibus arrived, and Ah Xiang followed. The basket of sugar cakes was bought by Wan Qiqi. The girl refused to take the money, so Wan Qiqi forced it into her pocket. Gone Defa took them directly to the construction site. The workers were working in full swing when suddenly a group of beautiful women came. The workers were all stunned. After a long while, someone jokingly asked, Brother Gon, are you introducing us to some girlfriends because there's so many bachelors? They're here to do odd jobs. If any of you dare to mess with them, don't blame me for being rude. Gon Defa frowned and warned seriously. He also called the supervisor Aliang and told him to keep a close eye on these people and not to touch these women or even make dirty jokes. After listening to Wan Qiqi's talk about the experiences of these women, he knew that they must be extremely sensitive now, so the people on the construction site must give them enough respect while maintaining a sense of boundaries. Brother Gon, are you hiring an ancestor to do the work? Aliang made a joke. If you are not allowed to even joke, then what else can you be if not an ancestor? When your daughter Ajun first came ashore and others joked with her, how did you feel? Gonda asked. Aliang was stunned and looked at the women next to him. He immediately understood and asked in a low voice, They are also. Gondefa nodded. Just like Ajun, I was forced to do it. Leave it to me. No one will dare to mess with me. Aliang patted his chest and promised. His wife Ajun was sold to a nightclub by her biological parents and lived a miserable life. At that time, he was a gangster in the club, and he and Ajun felt sorry for each other. They often had a midnight snack together and told each other about the grievances they had suffered that day. Ajun was beaten by a customer, and he was slapped by the boss. This was their daily experience. Then they would eat a bowl of hot midnight snack and hug each other and cry, and they would feel much better. Later, Gondefa took him to work on a construction site and established the Rongyao gang. He redeemed Ajun, got married, and had a child. Others laughed at him for marrying an easy-souled woman, but those people didn't know that he and Ajun were each other's warmth. The past was over, and life had to look forward. The laborer gets 70 yuan a day, paid daily, with food and lodging provided. Aliang walked over and told them about the salary and benefits. Shi Hongmei and the others' eyes lit up, as the salary was much higher than they had imagined. Even Ah Xiang was excited when she heard this, as this made more money than selling sugar cakes. Brother, can I do it? I'm very strong, look. Ah Xiang volunteered and even picked up a load of red bricks to prove that she could do the job. Aoyang couldn't make up his mind and looked at Gondefa, who looked at Wan Chichi. I'm short of someone to work for me. Do you want to come and work for me? Wan Chichi had other plans for Ah Xiang. The new house was quite big, so she needed someone to clean it. Also, when she returned to the inland, someone would need to look after the new house.
Yes. Xiang nodded vigorously.
Wan Chichi took her and Sister Hong back to the new house. The house was too big and required 2 people to fit in. Mainly because she was impressed by Sister Hong, who was a strong-willed person and quite pleasing to her. Did Ajin and Aju marry voluntarily? On the way, Wan Chichi asked Xiang. Xiang's expression changed. She gritted her teeth, shook her head gently, and whispered, Ajin was deceived by her cousin. That uncle is a fool. He is in his 40s and still drools. Her cousin put drugs in Ajin's tea. The 3rd update is finished. I will continue tomorrow. Good night. Ah Xiang talked about what she had experienced in the past 2 months. They took the money given by Wan Chichi, bought some gifts, and found Ajin's cousin's house. Unlike what was said in the letter, the man Ajin's cousin married did not do business, and his family was extremely poor. Moreover, he was very old, more than 10 years older than cousin Ajin, dark, old, and short, and looked like Ajin's father. Cousin Ajin's family did not welcome their arrival and looked unhappy. We originally planned to stay here for 1 night and go out to look for work the next day, but when we woke up the next morning, cousin Ajin and her family treated us very warmly and asked us to stay a few more days. Their attitude was completely different from the day before. Later I found out that they wanted to find a wife for their stupid son and didn't want to spend a penny.
Xiang smiled bitterly.
She felt something was wrong at that time and secretly reminded a few of her companions. Everyone else was alert and did not drink the sugar water brought by cousin Ajin. Only Ajin drank it. But Ajin was called to the room by her cousin, who said she wanted to have a heart-to-heart talk with her sister. Ajin did not suspect anything, but as soon as she got into bed, the drug took effect, and the person who got into bed was not her cousin, but her uncle, who could not even speak clearly. Ajin lost her virginity and had no choice but to agree to get married. After my cousin's family succeeded, their true colors were revealed, and I gave them 2 options. Either marry the old bachelor in the village or get out. Aju was timid, so she married the old bachelor in the village. Ame and Ayu ran away. Ah Xiang had a determined look on her face. Those old bachelors could be their fathers. They were old, ugly, and poor. After getting married, they would have endless work to do every day and also have to give birth to children for these men. What was the difference between such a life and that in their hometown? She risked her life to cross the sea here. If she was just going to live like this, she might as well stay in her hometown. Where are Ame and Ayu going? Asked Sister Hong. We didn't dare to go too far. There happened to be a restaurant hiring dishwashers. We said we didn't want any wages, but only accommodation and meals. The boss agreed, but Ah Xiang bit her lower lip and whispered, that boss is not a good person. He sneaked in the middle of the night and tried to take advantage of us. He also threatened that if we dared to resist, he would call the police to arrest us. We fought the boss and beat up the jerk. Then we fled overnight. We slept in parks and under bridges and sold waste from trash cans. Life was getting better little by little, but we were reported, and the police came to arrest us. May was arrested, and Ayu and I jumped into a pond to escape.
Xiang criait.
She had the best relationship with May. She knew that nothing good would happen after May was captured. She had been dreaming of May's bloody image for days. Where is Ayu? Asked Sister Hong. She was an educated youth, pretty, educated, and ambitious. She went to the film set to shoot a movie. She also introduced me to it, but I'm not that kind of person at all. I'd better just sell white sugar cakes, honestly. Ah Xiang calmly told about Ayu's experience. Among the 5 of them, only Ayu was a city dweller. She was arrogant and beautiful, and was not the same kind of person as them. It was within her expectations that they would go their separate ways. She will regret it later. Filming is not a good profession. Sister Hong sighed. Even if a star became famous, He would still be the prey of the gang leaders and would have no power to resist. Ah Yu was an illegal resident, had no one to rely on, and was beautiful. On the set, she was just meat to be slaughtered. Everyone has their own aspirations. Once you choose a path, you have to keep going even if you regret it.
Axiang chuckled.
Although she was young, she could see through many things better than the older Sister Hong. This time, Ah Xiang didn't need to ask. Sister Hong took the initiative to tell her experience. She also met a darn human snakehead who sold her to a nightclub. I have to entertain customers from morning till night, but I don't get a penny. Then where did the money you sent me come from? Ah Xiang asked anxiously. Sister Hong was stunned for a moment, looking annoyed. She let the cat out of the bag and said, I borrowed it from someone. You always look to the side when you lie. Sister Hong, tell me the truth. Where did the money come from?
Ah Xiang asked.
Sister Hong couldn't hide it any longer, so she had to tell the truth. I stole a customer's wallet. Aunt Lien needed money for medical treatment.
How is she?
My father took the money and didn't use it to treat my mother. He also said that my mother's illness couldn't be cured and it was a waste of money. After my mother died, he used the money to marry a widow. The widow kept all the money. He had no money to help my brother get married, so he planned to sell me to a fool to earn a dowry. I stole the money and ran away. Ah Xiang cried bitterly, and Sister Hong also cried. Her mother died early, and she was protected by Aunt Lien since she was a child. In her heart, Aunt Lien was like her own mother. Wan Qiqi sighed. No wonder Sister Hong was so beautiful but was sent to a black kiln. She made a mistake by stealing a customer's wallet and must have been punished. She was beautiful, and after she went to the black kiln, she received the most customers every day, so she couldn't stand it and escaped. You'll help me with cleaning for a while, and I will pay you 1,000 yuan a month. How about that? Wan Qiqi was talking about the market price of maids in Hong Kong. It's too much. Half of it will be enough. Sisters felt embarrassed to take so much salary. 1,000 yuan was the price of a local maid. They were illegal immigrants, so they would be satisfied with half of it. Wan Qiqi directly booked a room of 1,000 and took them to the room. The two sisters wanted to stay in the same room, and she agreed. Both of them couldn't sit still, so they started working on the first day. They cleaned upstairs and downstairs very well. Ah Xiang was also a good cook, so even if there were some dishes she had never made, she could replicate them just by tasting them. Sister Hong's real name is Lin Hongyu. She seldom comes near Wan Qiqi and the others and rarely speaks. She just works silently. The women on the construction site also have a good life. They are all very hardworking and work harder than men. This stimulates the men to work with all their might, and the progress bar advances by leaps and bounds. 1973 soon arrived. Ah Xiang prepared a large table of sumptuous dishes. She and Hongyu refused to sit at the table, but Wan Qiqi did not force them. She gave them red envelopes and asked them to take the food and wine back to their rooms to eat. The one who gained the most this new year was Potato Zai, who received a lot of red envelopes, but all of them went into Wan Qiqi's pocket under the pretext of saving them for Zai. As soon as the new year passed, obituaries of the Qiu, Su, and Zhu families came out one after another. Within just 1 month, the elderly people and the heads and wives of the 3 families either died of illness or died in accidents. The wealthy people in Hong Kong were very busy paying their respects this month. Moreover, the 3 companies of Qiu, Su, and Zhu suddenly changed hands. Their wealth was all gone, and their children immigrated abroad. This series of strange changes caused panic among the wealthy people in Hong Kong, who all thought that something big was going to happen. At the same time, an anonymous article came out of nowhere, exposing the immoral things that the 3 families of Qiu, Su, and Zhu had done in the past. Like the Yang family, they had harmed many volunteer soldiers. Evil deeds will be punished. It's not that there will be no retribution, it's just that the time has not come yet. God is watching what you do. There is a God above us. Their current experience proves this point. You must have a clear conscience in doing things in order to live with an open mind. This article caused a sensation in the whole city. As soon as the newspapers were delivered to the newsstands, they were sold out. Newspaper offices also worked overtime all night to produce them. Almost every citizen of Hong Kong had a copy of the newspaper. This grudge against the Su and Zhu families is as evil-hearted as the Yang family. No wonder the family is broken up. God is watching. Do you really think it's God? Use your brain. Who else could it be if not God? It can't be the king of hell, right? Who cares who it is? Anyway, the evil-hearted guy got his comeuppance.
Cool.
The people were talking about it and applauding the tragic plight of the three families. Some people also guessed the reason. The three families had accidents at the same time, and God was so busy that he probably couldn't spare the time. Anyway, every grievance has its perpetrators, and it has nothing to do with them, the common people. Of Chiu, Su, and Zhu were over. They all immigrated with their families. Ruan Qiqi no longer cared about them. Her mission was completed, and it was time for her to go home. Are you coming back? Ruan Qiqi asked Xiaotao. Now this crazy woman either goes to Gon's house to eat and drink every day, or stays in the hotel to edit school rules. Her life between these 2 points is simple yet fulfilling. Where to go? Xiaotao took a pineapple bun and munched on it. She had just compiled 5 more school rules, which was too tiring. She needed to eat something good to replenish her energy. Pineapple butter. The pineapple buns were naturally given by Gon's mother. Any snacks that were not sold out every day became Xia Tao's midnight snack. In less than a month, Xia Tao's oval face had become much rounder and almost became an oval face. Go back to Tanzhou. If you are so happy here, why don't you just stay here? Ruan Qiqi joked. Xia Tao frowned, thought seriously, and shook her head. 759 is a good salary. Let's go back. She was not used to staying in one city for a long time. Hong Kong was indeed not bad, but she would still get bored and would go back to Tanzhou for a while before coming here again. Aren't you coming over here? Come on, we're still recruiting students during the summer vacation. Xia Tao had sufficient reasons. She was the dean of studies and she had to be there to recruit students. On the first day of school, she also had to show up and let the students recognize her majestic face. If I go back, I won't be able to eat the delicious food at Gon's house. Ruan Qiqi tested half-jokingly. Xia Tao frowned. This problem was indeed serious, and she needed to think about it carefully. After thinking for a few minutes, she asked seriously, "Can we get Gon Defa as parents to open a tea restaurant in Tanzhou?" Of course not. They are native Hong Kongers. They are old. They want to leave their hometown and their beloved son just to cook for you? Don't you feel guilty for repaying kindness with enmity? Ruan Qiqi flatly opposed it and said it very harshly. She was really afraid that this crazy woman would take the old couple back. Forget it, I'll come back in the summer. Xia Tao also felt that this was a bit of an ingratitude, so she could only put up with it and come over to eat in the summer. Discussed work matters with Gon Defa. The movie profits will be directly invested in the film company. I will come here in the summer and pick some good movies to shoot. You can send people over to the US to check out the situation first and then sell them after I come.
Okay.
Gon Defo agreed very seriously. The official business had been almost completed, but he did not say goodbye. He looked as if he wanted to say something but was hesitant to speak. If you want to know something, just ask directly, don't waste time. Ruan Qiqi couldn't bear it anymore and asked him. Gon Defa looked embarrassed and asked in a low voice. My parents asked me to ask, is Miss Xia going back too? We came here together, so of course we have to go back together. Ruan Qiqi teased him deliberately. Gon Defa's face was visibly disappointed. He didn't know where to put his hands. He twisted them uneasily.
I've fine. Thank you, Mrs. Ruan.
I'm going back. Tell Miss Xia for me that I wish her a safe journey and happiness. Why don't you talk to her yourself? Ruan Qiqi felt a little guilty. The big man, who was stronger than a bear, was almost made to cry by her.
I didn't meet Miss Xia.
I have something else to do. I'm leaving now.
Bye. Bye.
Gon Defa didn't dare to look at anyone and spoke incoherently. He walked out while talking, appearing a little flustered. Xia Tao came back excitedly with a few strings of fish balls coated with a thick layer of chili sauce in her hand. She bumped into Gondefa at the door, and the chili sauce on the fish balls was all over Gondefa's clothes.
Ah,
My fish balls, you have no eyes. Xia Tao glared at him in agony. She had applied such a thick layer of hot sauce on it, but it was all ruined by this guy.
yes.
I'm sorry, I'll compensate you. Gondefa apologized quickly, not even bothering to wipe the hot sauce off his clothes. Forget it. What are you so flustered about? Are you a thief? Xia Tao rolled her eyes, took out a handkerchief from her pocket and threw it to him, then bit the fish ball in her hand nonchalantly. It's a bit dirty, don't eat it. Gondefa advised in a low voice that he had been wearing the same clothes for a whole day. It's not clean, but you won't get sick if you eat it. How hypocritical. Xia Tao rolled her eyes, quickly finished a string of fish balls, and continued to chew the second string, not forgetting to explain the work. School, hurry up, if it affects my summer enrollment, I will beat your butt. I know. It definitely won't affect anything. Gonda was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled and nodded quickly in agreement. Why are you smiling so frivolously? Did you find some money? Xia Tao looked at him in confusion. He was in a daze just now, but now he was acting as if he had found money. He must be crazy. Miss Xia, my mother prepared some food for you. I'll bring it over later. Gonda laughed even more happily. He didn't know what was going on, but his mood suddenly improved, just like the feeling of suddenly seeing the sun after a long period of continuous rain. I'll get it myself. Xia Tao's eyes lit up, and she turned and left, turning back to urge him. Hurry up, what are you dawdling for? Here it comes. Gondefa followed with big strides, and the two of them walked one after the other, and soon entered the elevator. Wan Qiqi smiled, but Xia Tao was obviously not interested. This happy event still had some time to wait. However, it can be seen that Xia Tao is not averse to Gondefa, which is already a great progress. Mo Jinsong came to the door again, still dressed in that respectable manner, and looked even more proud. This guy is doing very well in Hong Kong. He has recently appeared on several TV shows, is a long-term writer for several newspapers, and has written autobiographies for several rich ladies. He is living a very happy life. Mrs. Zhu has evidence of corruption among several high-ranking officials. The ICAC has interviewed her several times, but she is very cunning and refuses to admit it. The ICAC has searched her home, but found nothing. Can you help find the evidence in Mrs. Zhu's hands? Mo Jinsong stated his purpose. It's none of our business if the ICAC investigates a case. Liu Yu was not willing to work for this guy, and the ICAC was a U.S. department, and he did not want to work for Americans. Hong Kong is ours, and the ICAC investigates cases for the development of Hong Kong. You don't want to see Hong Kong become an isolated island filled with chaos, do you? Mo Jinsong asked back. Is this also what the higher-ups mean? Wan Qiqi asked.
Yes.
Why didn't you just say it was a business matter? I thought it was a private matter between you and that old lady Zhu. Liu Yi deliberately insulted him, but Mo Jinsong smiled and said calmly, Xiao Yi, don't interrupt me when I'm talking to my sister-in-law. A live-in son-in-law should have the consciousness of a live-in son-in-law. Stay aside. Liu Yi gritted his teeth, unable to think of any rebuttal for a moment, and looked at Wan Qiqi with grievance. Although Liu Yi is a live-in son-in-law, his status in the family is the same as mine. This is not the old society anymore. Families still follow status rankings. Our Wan family doesn't follow that. Mo Jinsong, you've only been in Hong Kong for half a year, but your thinking is a little off. Wan Qiqi looked at her man soothingly, then vented her anger for him and put a big hat on him. That's right, the poisonous weeds of capitalism are indeed very poisonous. Mo Jinsong, you've been severely damaged. Liu Ye's tone was particularly gloating. It's my fault. My nephew took my sister-in-law's surname, Wan. I misunderstood. I'm very relieved that my sister-in-law thinks this way. I'm really happy for Xiaoya to marry such a good person like my sister-in-law. Mo Jinsong pretended to admit his mistake and said some hypocritical words, which almost broke Liu Ye's back teeth. Mr. Xiong, you have been suffering from excessive internal heat recently and have been overworked. Love is like a sword hanging over your head. You must take care of your health. Wan Qiqi picked up the teacup and started to chase people away. Thank you, Mrs. Ruan, for your reminder.
Goodbye.
Mo Jinsong also decided to quit while he was ahead and left. Chi-Chi, he was just being sarcastic. Lu Yi complained angrily and even praised himself. I was so angry, but I held back and didn't hit him. Great. You are increasingly taking the overall situation into consideration. Wan Chi-Chi praised him very seriously, saying that Lu Yi had indeed improved a lot and was not as impetuous as before. The anger in Lu Ye's stomach gradually disappeared with the praises. Xiong happened to bring a bucket of water and was ready to mop the floor. He grabbed it without saying a word and started mopping the floor with a grunt. Sir, let me do it. Xiong is a little helpless. She only gets 1,000 yuan a month, with food and accommodation provided, but there is only a little work to do. If even this little work is taken away from her, how can she feel comfortable taking the salary? It's okay, go and rest for a while. Wan Chi-Chi asked her to go and have a rest. The two sisters were more diligent than little bees every day. They cleaned the house from top to bottom, inside and out, and it was spotless. There was no trace of dust at all. In fact, there was really no need to do so. She was not that particular. Sister, when will you come again? Xiong's tone was lost. She couldn't bear to leave. Xia Tian will come over. You and Hong Yu will help me look after the house. You can use this money to pay for water and electricity. Wan Chi-Chi took out 10,000 yuan and stuffed it into Xiong's pocket. The water and electricity bills aren't that much. Xiong wanted to pay back half of it. You can use the rest to buy food. Don't be too stingy. If someone bullies you, go find gang leader Gon, and he will take care of it for you. Read more books in your free time. It would be even better if you can learn a skill. Wan Chi-Chi did not want the two sisters to be maids for the rest of their lives, especially Xiong. This girl was independent, courageous, and smart. Her only shortcoming was her low level of education. I'm watching, sister. I've finished my work. Can you do some handicrafts at home in your free time? I promise I won't mess up the house, and I won't bring anyone home. Xiong plucked up the courage to ask. She wanted to go to night university for further studies and had to save enough money for tuition. Okay, just don't bring anyone home and keep it clean. Wan Chi-Chi's requirements are not high, just 2 points. If Xiong and Hong Yu can't do it, she will let them leave. I know the rules. I will definitely not bring anyone home, and I will clean the house every day. Thank you, sister. Xiong was extremely happy. She felt that good fortune had come after bad luck. Since the day she crossed the sea, she had been helped by noble people. She hoped that one day she would be able to succeed and repay the noble people. It was dark. Wan Chi-Chi and Lu Yi left the villa and went their separate ways. Wan Chi-Chi went to Mrs. Zhu's house to look for evidence, and Lu Yi went to Mo Jinsong's place. Mrs. Zhu is the widow of a gang leader. She lives in a villa in Repulse Bay. Her house is decorated magnificently. The chandeliers in the living room are all made of crystal, and the wash basin in the master bedroom bathroom is sparkling with gold. Wan Chi-Chi took down the wash basin without saying a word and put it into the space. She also dismantled the crystal chandelier in the living room. Although the crystal was not valuable, such a big lamp was still worth some money. Through the bonsai in the house, she easily found the evidence, an account book that contained the transactions between her deceased husband and those high-ranking officials. The time, place, and amount of each transaction were all recorded clearly. There were quite a few gold bars and jewels in the safe, and Wan Chi-Chi took them all without hesitation, leaving only the account book. Mrs. Zhu was lying on the luxurious big bed, sleeping soundly, and had no idea that the 2 bodyguards she had hired at a high salary had been knocked down by Wan Chi-Chi. Wan Chi-Chi swaggered to the bedside, sprayed some sleeping pills on Mrs. Zhu, and then took out a gun from under her pillow. Putting the gun into the space, Wan Chi-Chi moved a chair and sat beside the bed, waiting for Lu Yi to come over. Mrs. Zhu on the bed was sleeping soundly and would not wake up even if there was thunder. Wan Chi-Chi was bored sitting there, so she ran to the kitchen to find some food. She also found the wine cellar, collected all the good wine, and poured herself a glass to drink slowly. After drinking half a bottle of red wine, Ron Chi was a little tipsy and finally waited for Lu Yi. He carried the knocked-out Mo Jinsong and walked in through the gate in broad daylight. Mo Jinsong was wearing pajamas, apparently dug out from under the quilt. Wan Chi sat there without moving and made an okay gesture to Lu Yi. Lu Yi grinned and threw Mo Jinsong onto the bed, pressing heavily on Mrs. Zhu. Mrs. Zhu did not react and continued to sleep soundly. Chi, do you want to wake him up? How can we play without waking him up? Wan Chi finished the wine in the glass in one gulp, stood up, and walked to the bedside. There was a silver needle in her hand. She pierced Zhu Tai's philtrum with force. She didn't prick Mo Jinsong, as he would wake up naturally in a while. After the acupuncture, she and Lu Yi hid away to watch the show. Mrs. Zhu woke up in pain and touched her philtrum. She found a lot of blood on her hands. Before she had time to think about what had happened, she saw Mo Jinsong lying next to her, and her eyes lit up. Mrs. Zhu even bit her finger to make sure she was not dreaming but real. She pounced on him with great joy and touched Mo Jinsong all over. Darling, you act so reserved during the day. I thought you didn't mean it, but you pretended to sleepwalk over to me at night. You really know how to have fun. I like your naughty side. Mrs. Zhu thought Mo Jinsong was pretending to sleep, so she acted coquettishly and put her hands into his pajamas. Mo Jinsong was awakened by being touched. When he opened his eyes, his look was still confused. But when he saw a wrinkled face so close to him, he was so scared that he immediately became refreshed. His body also burst out with great potential, and he rolled off the bed neatly.
Who are you?
Why are you in my room? Mo Jinsong did not recognize Mrs. Zhu. During the day, Mrs. Zhu wore heavy makeup, with powder on her face thicker than putty. At night, when she took off her makeup, she looked like a completely different person, even older than his mother-in-law. Baby, this is my room. It's no fun to play games too much. Don't worry, I won't treat you badly. As long as you make me happy, I'll give you a floor in Central. It's 800 feet. Mrs. Zhu threw a coquettish look, and her affected voice made Mo Jinsong want to vomit. He finally realized that it was that jerk Lu Yi.
Grass.
Mo Jinsong wanted to kill someone, but now he had to escape from the clutches of this old woman. His innocence could not be ruined by this old woman. Would you believe me if I told you I was sleepwalking? Mo Jinsong jumped up and asked seriously. Exine, you miss me in your dreams. That's why you sleepwalked into my bed. Mrs. Zhu threw him another coquettish look, smiled particularly charmingly, waved at him, and said in a tender voice, A moment of spring night is worth 1,000 gold. Baby, come quickly. Mo Jinsong's intelligence and talent were useless at this moment. He turned around and ran, not daring to stay for a second. Mrs. Zhu's voice came from behind. Baby, do you want to go to the back garden? It's a bit cold at night, so come to the room. Mo Jinsong paused and ran even faster. He couldn't run that fast when he was 18 years old. Today's third update is completed. Good night. Baby, it's boring after this. Come back soon. I'll give you a 3-year contract with a TV station. As long as you follow me obediently, I promise you'll be very successful in Hong Kong. Mrs. Zhu got out of bed, chased out slowly, and offered a sweet bait. An 800-foot building in Central, a 3-year contract with a TV station. If it were any other man, he would have surrendered with his eyes closed, but Mo Jinsong was unmoved. He swung out a phantom with his arms and ran at the speed of a leopard. But he was tripped by a rose branch that suddenly protruded out, and then a mocking voice came from above his head. It's the same anyway when the lights are turned off. It's just one floor in Central. Lu Yi was hanging upside down on the tree, zooming in on him with a sly smile on his face. Yes, it can be sold for hundreds of thousands. It would be great to take the money back and earn foreign exchange. Wan Chi also hung upside down. The couple were like ghosts, with their 4 eyeballs flashing in the dark. Mo Jinsong was so furious that he wanted to beat these 2 lunatics to death. Baby, where have you been? Come out, and don't make me angry. Behind, which gave Mo Jinsong goosebumps and almost vomited the food he had eaten the night before. Your old woman is here. Hurry up for foreign exchange. Just turn off the lights. Lie down, close your eyes. Stretch your legs and it's done. Lu Yi said excitedly. That's right, Comrade Mo. What's your awareness? You don't have anything to lose anyway, and although Mrs. Zhu is middle-aged, she still has her charm. Even if she is a wilted flower, she is still a romantic woman. Go, show your ability and conquer that old woman. Wan Qiqi finished speaking. She raised her fist with full power to cheer for Comrade Mo. Xiaoyi, you have a high level of awareness. Why don't you do it yourself? I can introduce you to someone. With your ability, Xiaoyi, you will definitely be able to generate a lot of foreign exchange for the country. Mo Jinsong was wearing pajamas. His hair was disheveled, and he looked disheveled. He was still good at making fun of others. He then said to Wan Qiqi, Sister-in-law, Xiaoya is trying to earn foreign exchange. He is dedicated to the public good, so he sacrificed himself to please Mrs.
Zhu.
Although the radish is covered in mud, it can still be eaten after washing. Don't you think so? Wan Qiqi.
Lu Ye.
Mo Jinsong's words left the two of them speechless. In terms of shamelessness, they were indeed not as good as this fox. Darling, where have you been? If you keep playing hide-and-seek with me, I'm really going to get mad. Mrs. Zhu was very patient and was still looking for someone perseveringly, but her voice had become noticeably rougher and not as coquettish as before. Lu Yi grinned wickedly, grabbed Mo Jinsong by the collar, and lifted him up in the air. No matter how good you are at talking, it's useless. You can't beat me anyway. What do you think I'll do if I throw you back now?
You won't, Xiaoyi.
You always talk big, but you are actually very sensible. When it comes to big issues, you are more sensible than anyone else. Mo Jinsong was not panicked at all and praised him a lot. My sister-in-law is the same. Otherwise, why do they say that if they are not from the same family, they will not marry? Since Xiaoya and my sister-in-law got married, his condition has been getting better and better. This is all thanks to my sister-in-law. Mo Jinsong also did not forget Wan Qiqi and praised her highly as well. Moreover, he is very sincere when praising others. Even if his words are a bit exaggerated, people can still feel his sincerity, which makes people feel comfortable. Wan Qiqi gritted her teeth. Darn it, he actually used sweet words, but she actually enjoyed it. The corners of Lu Ye's mouth curled up, his expression visibly proud, thinking that this Mo fox had some vision. Baby, Mrs. Zhu's voice was getting closer and closer, and she was already here. Mo Jinsong appeared calm on the surface, but he was actually in a panic. He could see through people's hearts, but not the minds of these two crazy people. They did not play by the rules at all. His keen eyes were completely useless at this moment. Zhu Tai's footsteps were heard, and they were very close. Lu Yi smiled, picked up Mo Jinsong, and jumped down from the tree. He rushed behind Zhu Tai in one step. Mo Jinsong's heart was in his throat. I was even prepared to compromise and have my innocence ruined. Lu Yi raised his hand and chopped down with force. Zhu Tai fell straight back and hit Mo Jinsong. Mrs. Zhu was plump and heavy, and she pressed heavily on Mo Jinsong, which was considered to be the fulfillment of her wish. Mo Jinsong, a lot of effort to push Mrs. Zhu aside. He was so angry that he kicked the old woman a few times and rarely swore. Lu Yi and Wan Qiqi were gone, as if they had never been there. The garden was silent. An account book hung on a branch, and it was particularly eye-catching in the bright moonlight. Mo Jinsong let out a breath and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He was angry and helpless. If he didn't have a strong heart and cooperated with these two crazy people, he would be scared to death sooner or later.
Darn it.
He put away the account book and returned to his residence in the swaying evening breeze of the Hong Kong River. Not long after, he changed his clothes and went out, wearing a floral shirt, jeans, and thick mousse in his hair. In a suit and tie, Mo Jinsong used to be a gentle scholar, but now he looks more like a gigolo. He went to a bar, gave the account book to his comrade, had a drink to calm his nerves, and then went back to his residence to sleep. The next day, the furious Mrs. Zhu planned to settle accounts with Mo Jinsong. She thought that it was Mo Jinsong who broke into the house last night and took away the gold wash basin and crystal chandelier, as well as the account book of jewelry and gold bars in the safe. The other things were fine, but the account book must not be leaked out, otherwise it would cost her life. Mrs. Zhu's love for Mo Jinsong disappeared, and now she just wanted to kill this man and take back the account book. But before she could do anything, the Independent Commission Against Corruption came to her door. This time the evidence was irrefutable, so the Independent Commission Against Corruption produced an arrest warrant and took her back for interrogation. Sir, even if you're investigating a case, there's no need to steal my jewelry and gold, right? And the wine in the basement was all cleared out. I have never seen a police officer more professional than a bandit. Mrs. Zhu knew that the matter was done, so she was not panicked. She even turned the tables and sued the Independent Commission Against Corruption for theft. The ICAC officers were also dumbfounded when they saw the wash basin that had been taken away alive, the gap on the living room ceiling, and the empty safe. Taking Mrs. Zhu back, the ICAC called its office inland. It was Mo Jinsong who answered the phone. His voice had changed, and the ICAC still does not know his identity. My comrade got the account book. My comrade didn't know about the washstand and crystal chandelier, as well as the red wine and gold you mentioned. He only took the account book. And when he took it, the other things in the safe were still there. Could it be that Mrs. Zhu is crying thief? Mo Jinsong flatly denied it. Even though he knew it was definitely those two lunatics who did it, he had to protect his family in front of outsiders. Even if it's a lunatic whom he doesn't like. The ICAC has no evidence and can only make a statement. Moreover, the evidence in the account book can lead to the downfall of several senior officials and at least recover hundreds of millions of stolen money. The stolen money is nothing. 3 days later, Wan Qiqi and his companions returned to Tanzhou. It was still very cold in Tanzhou in March, much colder than Hong Kong. They came back on a military plane and were greeted by a gust of cold wind as soon as they got off the plane. Manzai brought Tudazai and Mamajong back to the compound. Wan Qiqi and the other 3 had to go back to 759 to report on their work. Wan Qiqi and Xia Tao returned to Wudong pastry shop together. After several missions, Xia Tao's loyalty was completely fine, so Pei Yuan was no longer on guard against her, except that he could not carry out missions alone. I haven't eaten sugar-coated baba for a long time. There was a restaurant on the roadside, frying sugar-coated cakes. The aroma of oil mixed with the sweet fragrance wafted over, making Xia Tao drool. She grew up in Hunan province and had already acquired a Hunan stomach. She also likes Hong Kong's delicious food, but after a long time, she still misses Tanzhou's delicious food very much. Do you have any food coupons? Xia Tao took out a handful of money from her pocket, but there were no food coupons, so she asked Wan Qiqi. Sister dumplings, buy some too. I want the salty ones. Wan Qiqi took out a handful of food coupons and stuffed them all into her pocket without even looking at them. She was also greedy. The two of them ate as they walked and soon arrived at Wudong Western pastry shop. 2 new faces came into the shop. Ding, he was not there. Only an old clerk was a familiar face. They didn't think much about it. The store clerks were all employees of 759, so the transfer was normal. 2 pieces of almond cake and 2 pieces of chestnut cake. Wan Qiqi walked over, greeted the old clerk familiarly, and asked, "Where is Master Ding?" "He's on leave." The old clerk looked a little unnatural and glanced at the other 2 clerks. "Isn't it wedding leave?" Wan Qiqi noticed something was wrong and joked calmly. "Of course not." Master Ding said he was not feeling well and needed to rest for a while. "Here's the cake." The old clerk handed over the wrapped cake with a forced smile. Wan Qiqi paid according to the internal price of 759. Pei Yuan set a rule that all employees of 759 who bought cakes had to pay the internal price, which was much more favorable than buying cakes from outsiders. "This money is not right, Lao Li. Do you want to undergo reform?" A clerk with a serious expression came over and spoke in a very stern tone, like a leader lecturing a subordinate. "They are our own people, so they pay the internal price for cakes." "It has always been like this," explained the old clerk. "This is shamelessly digging into socialism. Director Yang has set a new rule that from now on there will be no insiders or outsiders, and everyone will be treated equally. We are no better than others, so why should we rank different levels when buying cakes? Comrade Lowley, there is something wrong with your thinking. The new clerk was only about 30 years old, much younger than Lowley, but he acted very senior when he scolded people. Lowley didn't dare to say a word, and just lowered his head to let him scold him. Ruan Chichi frowned. Old Li was not a good-tempered person. He had dared to contradict Ding Yi in the past. Today, he was being ridiculed by someone, but he just swallowed his anger? And what about Director Yang? She just spent the new year away from home. Is there such a big fuss at home? You are a ducking mine a bird. Aren't you annoying me with your chirping? I'm just paying you this price. I don't care if you are the sheep director or the cow director. You can take it or not. Xia Tao got furious when she heard this. She slammed the money on the glass cabinet, picked up the cake and left. You are such an unreasonable thespian. Put the cake down, or I will be rude to you. The new clerk was furious and warned him sternly. I won't let go. How can you be so rude? Xia Tao stopped, turned around and looked at him coldly. Then, in front of him, she took a big bite of the cake. In just a few minutes, she had finished eating all 4 pieces of cake, without even a crumb left. You ate my 2 portions. Give me 2 almond cakes as compensation. Ruan Chichi roared angrily. She just didn't pay attention and let this crazy woman take advantage of her. Old Li, 2 more pieces of almond cakes. Xia Tao threw out a few more dollars, still the same price. Old Li was secretly happy. He had finally waited for these 2 crazy women. He was just waiting for them to have a seizure. Yang Chenfeng is a member of Group B, and he gave this nickname to the new Director Yang. Because Director Yang made his first move upon taking office, he overturned all the rules and regulations previously formulated by Director Pei and formulated his own new rules. He also gave a strict order that the people in Group B must abide by them, otherwise they would be labeled as undisciplined, unorganized, and undisciplined. A few people in Group B were dissatisfied with the new rules and openly questioned epilepsy, so they were taken to the farm for reform by this jerk. When Director Pei left, he specifically told them not to go against Director Yang. After all, Yang Dianfeng was sent by the headquarters with a strong backstage. Although they have special abilities, they cannot defeat the higher-ups. They have to be patient in order to keep things peaceful. Ding Yi also asked for leave because he was dissatisfied with Director Yang. Several other comrades also asked for leave to rest at home. Now there are not many people reporting to Group B. Old Li knew the strength of Ruan Chichi and Xia Tao, and he was even more aware of their epilepsy. To deal with people with epilepsy, it was the Dian Pe who had to step in. He didn't want to tolerate that group of people with epilepsy anymore. It was so tiring to endure it every day. This is ridiculous. You all have serious ideological problems. I will report to Director Yang and send you to a farm for reform. At being ignored and threatened to complain to his boss. Is your sheep male or female? Xia Tao asked coldly. It's a public one. Old Li rushed to answer. With the crazy mother-in-law around, he was too lazy to endure it any longer, not even for a second. You keep talking about Director Yang. Are you two having an affair? I think your lifestyle is extremely corrupt. You must be sent to the most difficult place for reform. Xia Tao talks nonsense all the time. She has opened her eyes a lot in Hong Kong. For example, there can be no woman in the middle of a quarrel. You're talking nonsense, full of nonsense. Just wait for me. The new clerk was so angry that his head was almost filled with blood. He had never seen anyone who was so shameless and talked nonsense. His words were like farts, without even thinking. Look, he's getting anxious. He's obviously guilty. Sure enough, there's an affair. TSK, 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 TSK. Comrade, can you still poop? Xia Tao's thoughts were moving so fast that the people around her could hardly keep up. How did she suddenly get to the topic of pooping? You can't speak without investigation. It's possible that Director Yang won't be able to poop. Even though Ruan Chichi was chewing on a cake, she didn't let the words fall to the ground and quickly continued. Old Li next to her lowered his head very low, his mouth corners almost twitching. He knew that the old woman could cure epilepsy because a normal person could not talk so much crazy stuff. The new clerk's face turned pale with anger. The other new clerk had remained silent. He originally wanted to join in, but after seeing the crazy nature of these two women, he shut up. Him going on the field is that he will be annoyed off to death, so it's better for him to just shut up. Xia Tao snorted, rolled her eyes in disdain, and walked away with a swagger. Since Pei Yuan is not here, there is no need to report work. The two of them went to find Ding Yi and wanted to find out why Director Yang came out of nowhere. Ding Yi originally lived in Wudong Western Pastry Shop, eating and sleeping in the shop. After meeting Shang Guanqing, he pestered Pei Yuan to give him a house. It was located in an alley not far from Wudong Western Pastry Shop. It was a private house with a yard, which was very nice. The door was closed, and the faint fragrance of orchids wafted out from the wall. Ding Yi was not only good at making pastries, but also good at taking care of flowers and plants. The bonsai in Group B's office were all cultivated by Ding Yi. Wan Qiqi and Xia Tao didn't even knock on the door. They just climbed over the wall and went in. Ding Yi was lying in the yard basking in the sun, wrapped in a thick blanket with his eyes closed. There was a purple clay teapot on the stool next to him. His life was quite comfortable. "Stop pretending and get up," Wan Qiqi shouted, went into the room, moved a stool, and sat next to Ding Yi. Xia Tao was too lazy to move the chair, so she just put the purple clay teapot on the ground and sat on it. "I was having a sweet dream."
You came at a really bad time.
Ding Yi sighed and opened his eyes helplessly. In his dream, he married a beautiful woman, and they were having a wedding together with Shang Guanqing. It was so beautiful. No matter how beautiful the dream is, the reality is miserable. Stop daydreaming. Let me ask you, what happened to Director Yang? Where is Pei Yuan? Wan Qiqi asked. Are you still alive? Xia Tao interrupted. She has a good impression of Director Pei, so she must not let him kill her. He's alive and well. How could that old fox, Lao Pei, die so easily? Are you guys back today? Ding Yi sat up and wanted to take the purple clay teapot to drink water, but found that the teapot had been moved to the ground, so he had to bend down to get it. Where did Pei Yuan go? Wan Qiqi asked. I was transferred to the Cultural Bureau as the head. Ding Yi said in a mocking tone. Are the people above us crazy? Xia Tao rolled her eyes and insulted them mercilessly. Not only has old Pei been transferred, but Group A's mother has also been transferred to the Armed Forces Department, and now she is Director Ma. What a mess. When did it happen? Wan Qiqi smiled sarcastically. The sudden personnel changes in the 759 branch in Tanzhou must not be that simple. A month ago, the more than $10 million you sent back made many people jealous, and they started to think about Tanzhou 759.
Dink it.
It means that Pei Yuan and Director Mu have no one above them. Otherwise, they would not have been bullied like this. Where's Xiao Chao? I've taken a leave of absence and have been looking for someone to date every few days. I'm having such a good time that I don't want to leave, Ding Yi said with a resentful tone. Obviously, he was the one who made the first move, but there has been no progress yet. Xiao Chao, that guy, came from behind and is now doing very well in his love life. Judging from the situation, he will be able to enjoy wedding candy in the second half of the year. His red Luan star has not moved yet, alas. Is there any capable person around that sheep? Wan Qiqi asked again. There are two, brought here by the headquarters. The man can control electricity, and the woman can control the wind. Goodbye. Wan Qiqi stood up suddenly and prepared to leave. When will you start? Ding Yi asked. It is better to choose a day today than to wait for one. Today is an auspicious day, suitable for slaughtering sheep. You definitely can't kill them. The higher-ups will investigate, Ding Yi advised in a gentle voice. He became more and more worried, but he still had to follow these two crazy women. Otherwise, the sky of Tanzhou could be pierced, and even Niwa wouldn't be able to repair it. You're afraid of this and that. No wonder you're still single. Xia Tao sneered and mocked mercilessly. I'm just considering the overall situation. You know nothing. Ding's face turned black with anger. Wan Qiqi and Xia Tao ignored him, climbed over the wall, and returned to the compound. Many people were sitting downstairs in the family building to bask in the sun. Their hands were not idle. Some were knitting sweaters, some were sewing shawls, or some were mending clothes. There were also a few children playing nearby. Some were skipping rope, some were throwing sandbags, and some were playing hopscotch. It was very lively. Sister Wan? Oh, you're finally back. I didn't see you guys during the Chinese New Year. Where have you been? Was knitting a sweater, looked up and saw them, and shouted excitedly. The other women also stopped what they were doing and greeted him in a flurry. I'm going out to do something. You don't have to go to work today? Seeing these familiar faces, Wan Qiqi was in a good mood. Today is Sunday, so you don't have to go to work. Sister Wan, Xiao Xia, please sit down and have something to eat. Wang Shuhua brought stools from home and took out fried sweet potato chips. The other sisters-in-law also returned to their homes and took out the leftover food from the new year. Fried meatballs, fried crispy pork, fried small fish, donkey rolls, etc. are all good things. My sisters-in-law in the past would not waste time frying these. Sister Wan, Xiao Xia, eat quickly. Where are you guys on this business trip? Lu Danny asked while unstitching her gloves. The gloves she took apart were the labor protection gloves issued by the factory, woven with cotton thread. She got 2 pairs every month, which she used sparingly. In a year, she could save more than 10 pairs of gloves. She took apart the cotton thread, boiled it in boiling water, and then dyed it and used it to knit sweaters. Cotton gloves can be knitted sweaters. Yangcheng, this is the snack over there. Wan Qiqi took out a big bag of wife cakes.